you're actually putting forth there. But in terms of Islam, Islam is kind of what you would call a quagmire.
Well, hello, and we have a member of that community. Hi, Green. So Frank is a member of the Islam community.
How you doing?
G'day, mate. How you going?
Cool.
I just want to make sure we didn't, speak too coarsely. I was just saying that, my position, Frank, is that religions have been politicised.
Yeah, it definitely can be.
Frank, I caught up with Doug. Doug's had to leave us. He was in an earlier session. And we spoke about that point I'd raised about the Book of Daniel. And, yeah, it went reasonably well, but he's still holding his position of a dating of 164 BC, and I'm holding 160 at the moment. He's going to just do a bit more checking. So that's what happened in another hangout that we've just completed, and then Reuven's got us all to come over here. So I'm not sure what the topic in here is.
Well, it looks like I came right at the end of it, so I really don't have anything to contribute when it comes to the Bible. So I just basically listen and relax.
Yeah, mate. So how you been?
I've been fine. I've been good. I'm just getting ready for the next day, but other than that, everything's copacetic.
Is what? Sorry, what's that word?
Copacetic.
What's that mean?
Means calm, relaxed, cool.
Chilled, cool. Okay. Very good. Yes, I've had a couple of, thanks for that discussion the other night. That was really quite good, mate. Yeah,
it was good. I enjoyed it too. It was really good.
It was, mate. It certainly was. Meeting of the minds in some form or another. And also Reuven, big thanks to Reuven, because the discussions with him have been very enlightening as well, to the sensitivities that are involved, Frank. So this gets back to, how do you handle the argument, or how do you handle that predicament where you're challenging beliefs and the like?
Well, the first thing to do is not challenge beliefs.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So
the only problem with that necessarily is that beliefs are made to be challenged to begin with. The idea of adopting a belief is also the premise that it will one day become untrue.
Yes, in the field, definitely of communicating and sharing ideas, and sometimes there are beliefs that are, somewhat unethical and things like that, and it depends how you challenge them. And
that's an interesting point, Frank. So, are you saying? So here's the two things, right? And I kind of have a feeling about the answer, but let's just see. So when it should be so that, truth should win the day. Yes? Yes or no?
Well, it depends.
Okay. Well, let's put it this way, right? So the challenge against a belief is when you look at it and say, no, that can't be true, that's rubbish, and I won't participate in it, and I think you're wrong. Hence a debate ensues, and, and because of the nature of religions, they resolve into these unprovable boundaries, and then, everyone goes their own way. So it's probably a valid point to say that, you're wasting your time. Are you suggesting, hey, Brandon, are you suggesting that that when you're confronted, because in your practice you would have people that would have beliefs as an issue, right? They've got the wrong thinking going on. Are you suggesting that it goes back to that Socrates method where you actually challenge the belief by getting the person to reflect on something else, which is more true. Is that what you mean when you say don't challenge belief? Do you mean come up with a better truth?
No, what I'm saying, you have to really find out the reasons of why this particular person is thinking the way he's thinking in order to understand why that person thinks that way. From then on, you could definitely discuss it.
Yeah, but aren't you discovering, well, firstly, the cause or the evidence or the experience says, there's something wrong here, so the inquiry then goes to the cause, and once you've found the cause, isn't it about correction though still? So in essence, to bring that person to a better position, you are challenging the belief in reality.
Well, if you want to call it that, but the person has to correct them themselves. They have to realize that, that either their type of thinking or even mine, because I don't come in the premonition that I'm right. I come in the premonition that I want to learn, I want to understand, in order for us to come up with a better understanding of each other and why things are things.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. Very good. Very good. See, my dilemma is I'm sort of, at the moment, I'm in a position where everything I look at reinforces the things that I've come to learn as being accurate, and that confronts people with ego. So,
Well, Rob, that's usually how you tell you're wrong about something.
How's that, mate?
If everything that you've ever looked at agrees with you.
Example?
It's called confirmation bias, Rob.
Yeah.
All right, example though, so I can understand.
Like anything that's confirmation bias. Let's see. Let's say you're running. Let's say you're a scientist running an experiment.
Yeah.
And like I can't even think of one because they usually get weeded out. It's just when everything that you're looking for somehow matches up.
I get it now, mate. I get it. Let me try and put it back to you. I'll see if I got it right. It's where everything that you look at is biased towards your conclusion.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Whether it is or not, you see it as that.
Sure. I get it.
Yeah, like a primary example would be like Nephilim Free posting a scientific paper that doesn't even conform to what he's saying. Like that would be confirmation bias. But then again, that would also be a high sprinkling dose of a little something known as cognitive dissonance too.
Yeah, keep in mind, I'm not accusing you of that level of confirmation bias.
That's okay, mate. No.
That's like the most perfect example you can actually come up with.
But they're interesting concepts. So I like what you're saying, but you're wrong.
No.
You guys want to see like the absolute zenith of confirmation bias? Nephilim Free is a treasure trove for that. Just mention the name Nephilim Free, and you will automatically know what you mean by confirmation bias.
Can we get Nephilim to pop in? It'd be great to catch up with him, you know.
Oh no, just
That's a long time.
just to give you an idea. Even Einstein found something that he didn't agree with in his theory.
Here's Mike. Okay, yeah, gotcha. So, you think that I'd present better if I presented some more errors?
Well, no, it's just usually when you're going out to prove something, you're going to find something somewhere that's going to disagree with you.
Yeah, if you already have the conclusion in your mind per se, you're going to find the evidence no matter what. Whereas, for example, if you find the evidence that leads to the conclusion you think might be the answer, the latter is somewhat of an hypothesis. It's like, okay, well, if this is true, we should find this evidence. You
Yeah.
know, and to see that evidence does exist, and to see if it logically coheres with what you're hypothesizing. That's proper. That's sort of proper methodological thinking right there. Nephilim free, on the other hand, you know, oh, I've got this conclusion. Let's see what evidence fits into it.
Yeah, but I think I actually operate in the former the former way, in that I will develop theories along the journey, but you got to remember it's a fairly lengthy one. But then that's not enough for me. I've got to go and find information that actually validates that premise. So to give you an example, right, because my first line of inquiry was, Gospel of Thomas makes sense, why did the Christians reject it? Got to Constantine the Great and thought, bingo, I've got it. Eusebius was the one that was corrupting the story, but that wasn't. It just didn't make sense. It didn't give enough information. There was earlier text. There was a whole bunch of reasons why that couldn't have been the birthplace of where this story got lost. So it took a damn long time to actually work out, and going through a lot of material to actually get back to something that then started to begin to make sense again. But this is where you might say, with confirmation bias, that's presupposing a position, and it will cloud the what I'm looking at as evidence. But I kind of think there's too much of it. It's over too long a period of time, and for it to be other than what it is. Plus, it matches philosophy in it, or matches spiritual story. So, but anyway, and there's only 2 wolves. Hang on, Green's just put something up there, so I best read that. Neff has up ATM. How come he's coughing, bud?
Oh, sorry about that.
Is that smoker?
Yeah.
You smoke?
What else would I be smoking?
Do you smoke? I don't know, weed or something, but don't smoke. Then you won't cough. Persons believing in extrasensory perception, ESP, will keep this. So this is coming from Frank Green's Soul Sufi. Persons believing in extrasensory perception, ESP, will keep close track of instances when they were thinking about mum, and then the phone rang and it was her. Yet they ignore the farm more numerous times when A, they were thinking about mum and she didn't call, and they weren't thinking about mum and she did call. I have to read this a couple of times to get it in my head, but they also failed to recognise that if they talk to mum about every 2 weeks, their frequency of thinking about mum will increase near the end of the 2-week interval, thereby increasing the frequency. So that's
real quick, a good way to sort of go against the grain. And by the way, just so you know, if I'm coughing, that means the weed is good. All right, it makes me pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
I am pretty fucked up right now. So, anyways, that being said, here, like, I am one of those individuals who tends to take a strong stance on income inequality, in the reference that income inequality has a lot of correlative effects on society, such as rates of murder, social mobility, the ability to be able to go up the economic ladder from middle class to upper class. If there's too much of a gap, you won't have much social mobility. It affects that. Also affects things like heart disease, the rate of cancer, interestingly enough. The one thing it doesn't really affect is that you actually get increased suicide, whether you have income inequality or not. So that's kind of a weird thing right there. I mean, the suicide rates don't really correlate to income to increase or decrease in income inequality. So that's kind of a weird thing there.
Can you just restate that again, mate? You know, the thing that you find weird. Just say it again, please.
I said that suicide rates do not conform to income inequality rising or lowering for some weird, strange reason.
So they're independent, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's like the only stat that doesn't really, like, here's the thing: rates of cancer are correlative to
Low income.
income inequality. You know, heart disease, increased heart disease is also a factor of high income inequality. Things like murder rates and property crime and violent crime, those are up. But for some reason, suicide isn't correlative with either.
Yeah, suicide's more linked directly with the type of job you have.
Yeah, that tends to be the case.
Like police have one of the highest rates.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, though, here's the thing: the highest death rate in terms of in terms of employment is construction worker. Yet, for some reason, they don't have suicides. For some reason, it's mostly accidents.
So, if I think of suicide, and I haven't thought a lot about it, but except there have been times I've had a couple of bad days at work and it's been a bit pressured and I felt like driving off the bridge going home. But not so much now, younger person. But when I think of it, it's a cry for attention. So it's sort of, it's got some founding in there. So it's very much the ego mind's thing. So why would that, if that were the case, Frank, do you have any, or it might be a topic you may not want to get into.
Suicide?
Perhaps. Yeah. Is there any causal thing that you're comfortable talking about, or because I know it's a bastard of a topic, but in terms of how you impact other people, but.
Well, there is they did a study on it. Usually, the ones that actually commit the most suicides are men. The reason why is because they could better execute it. I think in some certain moments of someone's life where a person has access to something easier to kill themselves, it becomes the frequency of completing it definitely goes in higher. So it depends on access, I think. But some people do really want to end their lives depending on the situation. So I don't really know what the statistics, but I know that for a fact that usually human beings are the only species that actually executes it. Yeah, they execute. If it doesn't really have to involve the species itself, but it involves within themselves. So it's a very for me it's a very complicated subject. It's not an easy thing to.
No. Fair enough, mate. Let me stump. I'm not a professional. So,
I do want to point out, since we're on the topic of suicide, I just want to say here that that there is a specific chemical reaction within the brain where I think the chemical is called neuropinephrine, and if you don't, and if there's a lack of it, it's usually the cause for some reason of suicide because for some reason your self-preservation systems within your brain actually just shut down at that point. So
when you talk about
it's not the cause of suicide, but it's definitely like the main component to make you think, okay, I have no interest in my self-preservation anymore. That's when people are primed for suicide.
So it's interesting though, because when you just suicide in its simplest form, it's about ending the self, right? And there's an absence of compassion or thought for others in that moment. You're wanting them to be attentive to you, and you're really not giving a shit about how it'll impact on them. So it's a
that depends. I mean, some things are a cry for help and they're not actually intended to be suicide.
Yeah.
Usually, as far as I'm aware, people that actually intend to commit suicide, they leave, goodbye notes, and they do things like try not to make a mess and stuff like that.
All right.
Well, there are those that necessarily actually jump off the building, even in front of a crowd, in front of a people, like they don't want him to jump. He jumps anyways, and he gets killed.
Yeah, so but maybe there's your two wolves again, mate. So you've got the one wolf that sort of invokes the death act, the death wish against the self, because it can't get what it wants out of life for whatever reason, or life's too hard. And then in the last moments, where they actually get quite serious about it, there may be a drifting back to the other and some thought for the other, but it's not a real situation. It's an intellectual paradigm, I think. So, but Frank's point is, if I understand it correctly, is that police officers get a high incidence because not only is their work challenging, and they see the raw side of humanity, and because there's power involved, they get challenged personally. Empathy sometimes has to get sacrificed for laws, outcomes. There'd be injustice that would go on in all forms. But they also, I think what Frank's saying, if I'm not mistaken, Frank, is that they've got the gun to do the job, so they're more prepared to actually carry out the deed. But that sort of study could be validated because you could run the tests across populations and find out if in fact there was the same incidence of wanting to and versus succeeding to suicide. I still feel sure, though, it's got to do with the self. And wrong thinking from a spiritual perspective. That's the root cause. So, two wolves, Cerberus. That's my position. You can have yours, but that's mine.
I was too engrossed in my muskmelon.
Your what? What's your muskmelon? What's a muskmelon?
It's a yellowish melon. It tastes sweet.
Oh, okay. I don't know what. I need Johnny in the room. He probably know what the common thing is here.
It's about the size of a head.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to describe it.
Do you put a hat on it and glasses before you eat it and sort of pretend you're a cannibal?
No.
Okay. All right. Good for you, mate. Sounds like a good thing to eat. Are you on the job or are you not?
Oh no, I am right now.
Are you? Yeah. Sort of being in the ambulance side, I would have thought you'd be a lot busier.
No, it's a low-populated area.
Right.
Most of the major things that happen are, if it's medical or fire, it happens at the chemical plants and the foundry on the highway not too far from my department.
Cool. Sounds like you got a good life there, mate.
It's not bad. Can't complain, really.
Yeah. Have you got any good countryside near where you live?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Where do you go to? Well, first question, do you get out in it much?
At least once a week.
Oh, fantastic. Where do you go?
I just hike out into the woods. Nowhere usually in particular.
Go out and play with the bears, do you?
No, we don't have bears. I'm a little too far to the east for that.
Yeah.
But I usually go visit the foxes and the turkeys where they hang around.
Oh, brilliant. That sounds like a good lifestyle, your lifestyle. Hello, Eve. But you can dream when you take a nap. Oh, okay. I think suicide is a really extreme, grotesque version of taking a nap. So this is from Dave. It's when you just can't deal with things anymore.
Hello, Eve.
And then Eve said, but you can dream when you take a nap. So very good, Eve.
Devin, I wanted to talk to you about norepinephrine, the neurotransmitter. Actually, you could increase it by fasting. Actually, that chemical is the one that actually creates cognitive alertness and attention.
You mean norepinephrine?
Yes.
Ah, I wasn't aware of those effects per se.
Yeah. As soon as you said it, I was just looking it up. But I'm not sure about the suicide. But I could see the correlation somehow.
So, Frank, you're saying that if you was it fasting that, or was there some other phenomenon that actually gave you better?
Fasting. Yeah, fasting actually increases the chemical itself.
How does that physically work? Am I asking too much there?
Yeah, I was reading it just now, so.
Have you got the link? Do you think you could share that?
I could Wikipedia it. I could share the link, sure.
This is
Sorry,
mate. This is a really weak theory, but I'm gonna guess being hungry and depressed might be a little bit too much.
What's the name of it, Frank? I'll Google it.
No, I'll send you a link. I'll send it.
All right, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Speaking of speaking of suicide, what do you guys think about the Saw franchise?
The who?
Saw, the movie Saw.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, Saw 3D.
No, I'm not familiar with it myself.
Oh, you got to check it out. At least the first two. The first two are pretty good. After that, the whole thing just devolves into torture porn.
Into what? Sorry?
Torture porn. Basically, people are just getting killed in the most violent, torturous manner possible.
And that's not how it starts. Like, the movies start out initially like having a point.
Yeah. Yeah, and then after like 2, it just fucking dissolved into like, these people don't need to die this way. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, the story's basically about a guy who's dying from, I guess, like late-stage cancer, if I remember correctly. And he essentially does all the bad things for all the right reasons.
Oh, okay. Give me an example.
Like, I don't know. Oh god, I can't tell you anything about the first one because it would just ruin it.
Yeah.
Because the whole first one's a giant twist.
I'm not going to watch it by the sound of it. Doesn't sound
No, you
like
can
my
watch
type.
it. The first one isn't that bad.
Okay, I'll give you the premise, okay? I'll just give you the premise, and this is all I'm going to give you, okay? It starts out with 2 guys chained to some pipes in a bathroom, and they have approximately a certain amount of time to be able to either kill the other, or they would have to saw off their own foot to get out. That's the premise.
Oh, okay, got it. I understand. So what it's doing is creating. It's creating that artificial idea. So it's like in Matrix, all those sort of ideas that really stretch the boundaries of our moral mind and propose situations that we would probably normally not be confronted with.
Essentially, the guy with cancer is upset that all these people don't really Well, he always gets people that have tried to commit suicide, and he's upset that these people are basically throwing away their life. So he puts them in a situation where they have to like really fight for it.
Yeah. But it's contrived nonetheless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
maybe the whole concept of fasting is that when you're hungry, you kind of appreciate like things like food, and maybe it'll motivate you to to just think about what's really important. I guess put you back on focus in a way.
Yeah, fasting. Yeah. So fasting is a bit of a discipline. You're starving your body of food. So, Frank, from a Muslim point of view, is fasting tied with meditation in that, the process? Do they sort of actively promote the cohabitation of both?
For the record, fasting in the Islamic tradition is not about eating no food for an entire month. Fasting in the Islamic tradition is eating nothing but small pieces of bread and water.
Usually what happens during the fast of the month is that, you eat before the sun rises, and that's probably around, depending on what time of year. Usually it's like, 5 o'clock. Before that, right now it's like around 3. Then you eat, and then you fast. You don't drink anything. You don't eat anything until the sun goes down. And then that's basically how it's done for 30 days.
And so the outcome should be, for the community and the individual, is a more attentive group, right?
Usually that's what happens. Yes, you're together more, and you're together with the family a little bit more. It is community based, but as for the individual, definitely, I think it has its benefits.
Oh yeah. Like the idea of fasting is sort of like, you're giving your body a bit of a rest from the bombardment of all of the garbage that we pump through it, I guess. So there's probably validity there. But the question still remains, Frank: is there meditation involved? Yes or no?
Well, you are doing your prayers during that time, and you're more peaceful. And, it could be seen as that.
So
but I don't think. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the prayer So for me, the prayer concept where the mind's been pleading to a God, and about, save me from my misery, that's not of any worth. But prayer where the mind's with others, or where the mind's still, meditation, those sort of things are valid. Is there an emphasis in the proper form of meditative state? I don't know whether
some people go through levels, but the ritual prayers, what they call is salat, they have movements, movements required, for that prayer. But towards the end, the whole point about it is to get for me anyway, to get your mind quiet and
well, then that's valid, and that's the right stuff. Yeah. So movement's still part of the mix, and that's like Tai Chi, right? When you move in Tai Chi, you want to keep your mind still and focused on the movement, and in that you sort of get lost in the movement, and you experience the feelings that go with the movement, or the feeling of the chi moving, or the energy moving around your body. It's very concentrated focus. So that's movement's valid, I think. Actually, Jesus says something about that. He says it's in motion and stillness. So, yeah, I'm just interested in that chemical thing now. So that's something I'll probably have a bit of a look at later.
This is a little off subject, but I got a question for you, Green. Why is it that you pray to Mecca and not the Dome of the Rock?
That's a good question. There's actually some Muslims that actually pray to the Dome of the Rock. They feel that's the main part, but there's a historical thing to it. There's some conflicting views on that.
I was just always curious.
They got it wrong anyway. I mean, that's more political than anything to do with spirituality. That's just keeping the power focus in play. Who's the boss?
I actually think it's Jerusalem.
What, the boss?
No, the direction of prayer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, being in America, I mean, it's all the same direction, really.
Exactly. So, I could say Mecca, but I'm hitting Jerusalem somehow.
No. Yeah. Eve, Frank is.
So can I get everybody's position in the room? I just want to know.
Sure. I'll kick off. So I hold the position that Jesus is real, and that religion.
Robbie was position as in like Sacramento, California, and you are Rob.
Oh, Australia. Australia. Melbourne, Australia.
Wait, is that what you meant? Like global position?
No, I didn't mean local location.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Most people when they say position, they usually mean like local position or some shit.
No, I mean like your spiritual position, where you stand when it comes to spirituality.
So me, I'm with duality. That's duality about the two wolves. Gnostic Jesus is valid, Plato's valid, that sort of thing, but religion's politicized and it's screwed and it needs to be depoliticized. That's me. Reuven? What's Reuven say? Reuven's agnostic, sympathetic to Judaism, Christ mythicist. However, that's just scratching the surface.
Yeah, me, simple two words, atheism, humanism. That's it.
I guess I'll go next because it was quiet. I'm this Gnostic that has a deep personal connection with God.
What's that? You've come over to Gnosticism, did you say?
No.
Damn. So Frank says Sufi Muslim agnostic. Dave, I think it's over to you. Dave, I think it's your turn, mate. Brandon, I think, may be theist. Brandon, can you type a little message to tell us what your spiritual leanings are? Oh, you've done gone already. Sorry, Dave. Torah observant Christian was David. So we're quite a mixed group, aren't we? Brandon is Christian, to my knowledge. So that's Brandon on the end. And, we've got John. John's a Taoist, Brother John. So you got a mixed lot here, Eve.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, they're a pretty cool bunch, that's for sure.
That's the best kind of hangouts, to have that much diversity, different opinions, different views.
They don't run from the room. They hang around a bit.
Yeah, none of us are really normal.
Got that right.
What would you define as normal? I'm sure I don't fit the bill either.
Just someone that's atheist or Christian or just strictly Muslim or something.
Oh, I guess I would fit the bill then.
Yeah, Eve, what was your position? Did we get that or not?
Well, I think agnostic atheist is what best describes me at my current position.
Agnostic atheist. Tell me about agnostic. Just remind me, or how you see it.
I can't say for sure that a God does or does not exist, but I do not believe that one does.
Okay.
Really, Rob? I've told you that like 3 times.
I like to ask. I understand it as the position where, you know, it's not a resolved question for you. Here's the answer. I think I've got the answer for the God. We can put this one to sleep. So God is nature. There you go. That's it.
Well, I was a pantheist for a while. A short while.
Yeah, that would be pantheism.
But I'm not going to wear any labels though. I don't like labels.
Yeah, labels suck, but they do define people quickly without having to go into a whole lot of detail. And that's why I use labels.
I see Rob's pantheist with a sprinkling of Jesus, though.
Well, not a sprinkling. I out and out say that the man existed and he had a really good philosophy, and it was spot on in terms of.
Would you define him as like an ascended master? Do you take on some New Agey type of terminology?
Nah. For me, it's just the Gospel of Thomas. When you read it and you actually get to what he's talking about, it talks about the same thing that most spiritual traditions aspire to. You know, about an intrinsic God concept and intrinsic realities in the human condition itself. So I just see him as an enlightened individual. You know, the likes of contemporary would be John Lennon, or even someone like
Gandhi.
No, I'm thinking more in terms of, you know, like Russell Brand, you know, with his Messiah complex.
Brand, yeah. I just watched one of his shows last night.
Yeah, I like what he says. You know, he seems pretty much in tune, generally. You know, if you can sort of read between the lines. And so for me too, I see the politicizing of religion as one of the biggest problems on the planet, and that's he takes that view. Yeah, he takes that view. So, and I wrote a book which talks to how that all happened. So he has a really good philosophy that was completely ignored by virtually all Christians. That's Rob's view. Yes, that's right. So Reuven just said, Jesus had a really good philosophy that was completely ignored by virtually all Christians. That's Rob's view. But I go on to say that it was actually the Romans that politicized it, just like the Persians politicized Judaism.
Well, I've got a theory, but you know, I don't state it as fact, and I don't even argue it. But it's a theory that I have because the last position that I took as a Christian, I was a Christian for most of my life, was a full preterist position, and a full preterist position believes that all end-time prophecies were fulfilled in the first century. So taking that position, to me now, looking back at some of the things that were stated within the scriptural text, knowing that even now our politics are using religious texts to convince people to get behind them on certain stances, I kind of wonder if it was used in that way.
So from the book of Isaiah through to the book of Revelations, all those prophecies are political weapons, if you like, to conjure up the notion. Yeah, but this is what happened, right? They're all post-mortem events. They don't predict anything beyond the times in which they were written. Isaiah was written 538 BC, Daniel 160 BC, and 136 AD, or a little later for Revelations. And they were written for political purpose. So anyone that's using them in the context of valid prophecy through history is not being spiritual, they're being political. And, you know, it's used to divide and conquer, and it's actually being used today. Same thing. I mean, the religions are being stirred up across the globe. Islamists against Christians, and that anxiety is being built up. But
Well,
that's
it's definitely being used for Christians to back up what's going on with Israel and to back up Israel and things like that as well right now.
exactly, yeah, exactly. But it's very much a political beast of a larger game, in my opinion. But my book, the book I wrote, that covered the period from Cyrus the Great through to Constantine the Great, and it was very much they took the good story, right? So I hold that the Torah is valid, and I hold that it held the Nazarite tradition, which is what the Essenes practiced, and I say that Jesus belonged to that community. So that's valid spirituality. But what happened is that these empires took those wisdoms and then, you know, created the fictional stuff around, wrapped them in the fiction, and that's how they politicized them. But it's a longer story than that, but that's fundamentally what goes on, I think. And
Well, to me, the thing that I struggled with when I actually came away from Christianity was that, you know, being that I was a full preterist, that Christ had predicted the falling of the temple, and the falling of the temple actually did really occur in history. But now I look at it, and the more that I look into things, for one, you have a lot of things within the text, forgeries, disputes about the dating, where the text itself is not really reliable in and of itself. But then you also, with what's going on with Israel and Gaza right now, it's easy to make certain predictions about things. And for me, it's not that hard for Christ to have made a prediction like that. The temple was the very center of Jewish customs, and Rome, they knew that Rome was trying to take over. It was already a coexisting government going on with Pilate and Herod. So, you know, there's a lot of civil wars that were breaking out at the time.
yeah,
So it's not a prediction that couldn't have been made by an ordinary person.
well, I'll give you an alternate perspective, right? Just something else to think about. Well, first the question: are you familiar with Joe Atwell?
What's that?
Are you familiar with Caesar's Messiah, a book written by a guy called Joe Atwell?
No.
Okay. Well, his conclusion was, he's almost there. His conclusion was that the Flavian dynasty were the authors of the Synoptic Gospels. Now, I actually agree with that premise, but I take it one step further and I say that they were written post the fall of Jerusalem in 70 or thereabouts, 70, 72, 73 AD, and there was a guy called Nerva, and he was given a very prestigious award which no one to this day knows why. But he also is noted for being scholarly or a scribe and literary, and he's also he vanishes from the the royal circles for a period of time. My conclusion was that he architected and probably had people doing the work for him or whatever, or he was the lead architect in the birth of the Synoptic Gospels, and in doing so, that puts him in a time frame that would allow him to write such things as Jesus predicted certain things. And because we're talking about the lead people in the Roman Empire, they had access to all of the literature that they needed to construct those texts as if they were predictive of earlier prophecies and all the rest of it. So, yeah, and, just me, but I'm very confident that that's pretty much probably what happened. So, that's how they can do that. And there was another interesting thing. When I was listening to you, now, don't get me wrong, I might be misjudging, but I noticed a little quiver in your voice, and it sort of made me think that the issue was still a little bit of a raw issue for you. What I'd say to you is that
Are you a psychologist?
well, no, it's just an observation. I might be wrong, but you can tell me I'm wrong. I'll accept that. But what I was just going to say though is that my conclusion was that Jesus was valid. So when you see his wisdoms in their pure light, and you can only really see that through the Gospel of Thomas, you'll get to see that he does have wisdom and value for humanity.
What wisdoms is those?
Well, if you're interested, I've broken them down and interpreted them, so I'll share that link.
So it's based on your own subjective interpretation?
Well, you may think so, but quite welcome. There it is. You can go and have a look and make your own call. I don't think I'm being subjective, because I think that what he spoke about is something held objectively in all humanity, bar chemical and physical abuse. Anyway,
yeah, but people's interpretations are subjective. We're human beings.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I understand that debate, so I'll leave it just there.
Yeah, we've had that debate with Rob, we have that debate with him 3 times a week.
What's up, Alex?
What's good in the woods? What's up?
Hey,
How's it going?
Good, mate. Who's Alex? I don't know you. I haven't come across you. What's your story?
Just a guy online making videos, saying hi to folks. I'm an atheist, musician, business owner.
Hey, man, you're a cool dude. Do you like making videos, you say?
I do, yeah. It's oh yeah, I just realized this right before I joined, and this is not a competition or anything like that, but I just realized I got more subscribers than Captain Awesemo. Pat myself back, I'm sorry.
Are we in a competition here?
No, it was my own secret competition.
So how many subs do you have?
It was 700 last I checked.
If you combined both of my channels, I had 700 and something.
Oh, nice. You have 2 channels?
Yeah, I have 2 different channels. Google did it that way. I didn't purposely do it.
Ha! I win. I got 17 and I've never made a video.
Whenever.
Oh. I probably my Christian channel is probably still up somewhere.
You need to swing some of those subs over here.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a shout out, Eve, for sure.
Reuven's got 38. Oh, whoa! John's got 38. Hey, but John, you've been around for a while. You're an old campaigner.
Yeah, you know what really helped was some later.
John, sorry. Oh, sorry, Alex.
Oh no, it's okay.
No, over to you, mate.
Yeah, I was saying that what really helped was some of my later videos with the help of G-Man and Veckel and those 2 clowns. I mean, guys.
Yeah, well, actually, I was getting a lot more subs prior to this happening, but the Drunken Peasants had showed my my rap that I did to G-Man on their show, and I ended up getting about 100 subs from that.
Holy shit, they played your rap on their show?
Yeah.
What the fuck? They need to play mine too?
Yours isn't as good as mine, sorry.
I was about to say Eve's was pretty legit.
Eve was gangsta. I love her stuff. It was like hardcore. It was straight up gangsta. I was sitting there trying to be funny, and which I guess worked out in my own little way. But I really loved the rough approach by Eve. It was sexy.
Yeah, and I'm joking by mine being better than yours, by the way. It's based on perception. But I do think that some parts on yours was like silent, like I couldn't like hear what you were saying.
Yeah, I figured out a new method of mixing my vocals down. And because the way it comes out, it seems crisp on my end, but then when I upload it, it seems like it just kind
Oh
of
yeah.
do stuff a little different. So I realized I might have to like turn my vocals all the way up. When
Yeah,
I'm
the quality once you put it on YouTube, the quality goes down like a
oh
lot.
man, yeah.
Yeah. So you might want to keep it on, like you might want to keep it on unlisted when you first put it on, and check out how it sounds, and then mess with it if it don't sound as good as you want it to sound.
Oh shit, I didn't even know I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I still haven't heard your stuff yet, your new stuff, because Facebook wouldn't allow me. For some reason I couldn't download it.
Well, right now I'm at a what do they call that? What do they call that when you're stuck and you don't know what else to write?
Writer's block.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at a writer's block right now.
Well, I mean, the latest stuff that you put out, the one that you messaged me, was there any other way I can listen to it? Like, I preferred you email it, and then you told me to check my personal mail, and I'm like, how the hell do I do that? Because I don't know.
All right, well, give me your email and I'll send it that way and see if it'll work that way.
All right, I'll message you on Facebook right now.
All right.
What are we talking about in this hangout, though?
Everything.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah.
What's probably going to happen is we're going to go between a couple subjects. Someone's going to mention religion. Rob's going to talk about some wolves.
No. I'm going to keep the more interesting cats in the room.
The black and white wolf?
No. Oh, she asked, mate, can I answer or not?
I've already heard it. I heard it the other day, but I knew it before you even said it. I've known of that.
Yeah.
It's from Native Americans.
Yeah. Well, to me, that's sort of, without getting into it, that tells the whole story.
It's kind of the same thing as the yin yang.
You know what?
Pretty much.
You know what I just realized? Is it Reuven?
Yeah, allegedly, Reuven. Sorry. Yeah, Reuven.
I just realized that was you that just messaged me on Facebook not so long ago.
Yeah, Reuven. Reuven's quiet here, mate. So I'm not Reuven, in case you're making that mistake. But Reuven, we only get to hear Reuven. Yes, the same guy. Reuven, you only get to communicate with him through the chat.
Oh, okay.
And you'll see his comments. So it's good if you can open up your chat window. Do you know how to do that?
Yes.
Yeah. So you'll see Reuven make his comments. So if you say something, if he's interested, he'll respond.
Oh, actually, who's talking right now? Then, if you're not Reuven, wait, no, who was that?
That's Rob. Rob is the one talking.
I'm sorry. You know what I did? I had the Reuven picture highlighted on accident. Oh man, it's past my bedtime.
What?
I've done stuff earlier. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think that's Reuven in the picture either, is it?
No, that's is that Carl Sagan?
Yeah.
Okay, because I might be a little out of my mind right now, but I thought for sure that was Carl Sagan. But yeah, I guess I was right. I mean, he could be, a doppelganger or something. He probably look just like him. I've always thought my science teacher looked like Carl Sagan, which blew my mind in high school.
Hey, Alex, did you hear Veckel's rap?
Oh no, I wanted to so I can respond to it. How did it go? Because Gmail was.
Well, of course, I don't agree with the lyrics, but he did really good, though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie and be dishonest. I thought he did really good.
I bet it was whack as shit.
But he messed up on the line. He messed up on the line right after he talked about me, so I teased him a little bit, and I was like, how come you messed up on me? Was you intimidated or something?
Oh, were you in the rap battle? Were you in that?
No, I just thought I'd mess with him about that.
Yeah. No, sorry, go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, he did it to a Biggie Smalls beat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah, which I did tell him in my comment. I was like, that was stupid. Don't do that.
That's blasphemy right there. You don't blaspheme the notorious one.
Don't use Biggie or Tupac.
Yes, I keep telling them leave hip hop the hell alone.
All right, hey, I sent it to you, so check and see if you got it.
Okay, all right, hold on. I might mute myself just to listen to it.
So,
yeah.
What's your motivation for or behind your music? What do you hope to achieve, I guess, through your music?
Behind mine?
Both actually. I'm interested in both. So whoever wants to go first.
Well, the rap battle that I did against G-Man, he kind of challenged me, and I wasn't going to accept. I told him, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't think that I'm particularly a good rapper, but he was in a hangout with me, and him and Veckel decided to tease me about it, so I said, okay, and the next day I had my rap up. So I kind of just shoved it in his face because I knew he couldn't rap worth a shit. So, even though I can't rap, I know I can rap better than him, so I did it anyway. So that was kind of my motivation there.
You could have told me, Eve, if you keep saying you couldn't rap, because that song was legit. Like, honestly.
It's a little sad when you have Eve, who's a white girl, rapping way better than G-Man.
Well, and that's why one of my lyrics was, something about getting his ass handed to him by a white chick.
If you there was at the beginning part of my song "Preacher is a Liar." I said he went after Eve, then Eve released a G, flea, defeated them lyrically, beating them 3 feet. And then I said, I mean, goddamn, the way I can explain it is she lyrically put a boot in his ass like knee deep.
Yeah, that was so freaking great. I loved that. So really, you did give me a shout out on your channel, but I don't know if people know who I am. So.
Most of some of the comment section knew who you were. And then because most of them are our friends, so I guess that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just realized that. To answer the question, I started off pretty young in the music industry, with my cousin and a few of his friends, actually personally knowing Kanye back in Chicago, Kanye West, before he was Kanye West. They went to the same high school and even went to the same college before Kanye, dropped out. That's his whole gimmick,
cool.
And of course, Kanye blows up, he's a superstar. The other guy that hang out with him, he went by the name of Bump J, who was blown up before Kanye, and with Kanye backing him on, productions. And then he robbed a bank like a moron and ended up going to prison. And then there was another guy named Rhymefest, who actually blew up and, became a superstar too. Probably not as big as Kanye, but he's famous, And my cousin gave up on hip hop, and now he's a correctional officer, ironically in the same prison where his former friend Bump is currently residing in, which is a scary thought. But I can vaguely remember Kanye from when I was like 7. But I didn't really know him like that. He was just my cousin's friend,
Yeah.
Kanye
Who
West.
robs a bank? Who robs a bank when they have a career?
I know, he was blowing up. He had a song on a McDonald's commercial. Like, why are you doing this? Like, if I had a song on a McDonald's commercial, I'm not robbing banks anytime soon.
By the way, I just realized I actually have 800 subscribers. So, haha, I beat you.
Nice. I'll get up there.
So, when I hear...
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, when I hear you just doing a little piece there, what I hear is the skillful use of words in rhyme to convey a message, an underlying message, an insight.
Wait, Rob,
Yeah.
is that the first time you've heard a rap?
Well, no, I've heard it before, but I'm trying to...
I mean, you described rap.
Yeah, I know. But I'm trying to get to the question about, is there a soul motive?
I can tell you why. The one I'm working on right now. The reason I do the music, the original music that I do, is to express who I am and my feelings. And the one I'm working on now is actually a message to fundamentalist Christians.
Yeah. Sorry, Reuven put a comment in there. If I wasn't laughing at you.
This link right here is an original that I did when I was questioning my position as a Christian, and I actually moved away from Christianity, but I still believe that, the kind of divinity within, divine within, Christ within concept.
Yeah.
So, Eve, this is your voice, right? This is like, this is how you. But why do it in rap? Why is rap your form? Is that because you?
No, it's not a rap. The one that I just gave isn't rap.
Okay.
The last link that I just gave, that's more of a rock type of version.
Right.
I can tell you why I use rap mostly. Like I grew up all around music, very musical family, and everyone, it seems like everyone in my family possess a talent for singing, and I end up growing, I grew up singing and whatnot, and did a talent show and got on a little local paper back in Kankakee, Illinois, when I was young, and but what fascinated me was just, my cousin rapped all the time, and I had some other, more distant cousins that rapped, and that kind of fascinated me how they would use metaphors and wordplay and all that kind of stuff, and I just put some stuff together, and at a young age they thought that I was kind of advanced, and as far as like how I was able to put certain phrases together, and my cousins started putting me on this little downstairs basement rap songs that we would record down there, and kind of peddle it off around the junction, around the neighborhood, which is a nicer way of saying hood. And it got pretty popular, and then I started producing after that. But the reason why I love rap so much is because it really challenges the everyday person who just appreciate literature generally. Like, I had an English teacher who was fascinated by hip hop, and she was really fascinated by DMX. Now, this lady is your typical, suburban housewife, white lady, so to speak. You know what I mean? And but she could not get enough of people like DMX, and who else did she like? She liked Ice Cube, and she really loved the storytelling aspect of it. Kind of like the same, reason why people would like, country music or something like that.
Or even poetry, right? Because it's really, see, poetry, like, and Frank, is Frank still here? Is he gone? But Frank's a fan, like I am, of Rumi and the way he crafts his words together. So to me, it's the same sort of thing at the end of the day.
It is, yeah.
I think with rap you could tell a story. You don't even have to have the chorus. You don't have to have a hook in rap. You can just tell a story.
A perfect example of that, what Eve just said, Rob, is just kind of going old school a little bit. Is this artist by the name of Slick Rick. He's from the UK. Kind of one of the pioneers of hip hop. The guy was a storyteller, and you can listen to his stuff all day long. And he would make up stories about, being a knight and fighting a dragon. I kid you not, he has a song like that, and it's fascinating. And it's like he's just, obviously he's, haven't fought a dragon anytime recently, but
well, to me, it's also fun because it's fun to do for me, even though I don't think that I'm particularly good at it. But it's fun because it's like a word twister that you're learning to master.
Oh yeah.
But I was
Now,
gonna
with
ask you, Alex, did you listen to that Ill Minds song that I sent you?
Ill Mind song, the one you just sent me?
Yeah.
Not yet. I'm actually you sent me the Humanity First rap, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and listen to it real quick. Um, but I didn't get the Ill Minds one.
The Ill Mind one is on Google Plus. I sent it to you through PM on Google Plus, and it's freaking awesome.
See, that's the one I can't seem to find on Google Plus PM. I don't even know how to get that.
Hold on, I'll put the link in here. That song, I mean, everybody should hear that song. That song is
Okay,
great.
cool. I'm gonna listen to your Humanity First rap real quick, so I'm gonna mute myself, folks.
yeah,
The only rap that I can't stand is raps is songs that have no meaning whatsoever. Like it's just talking about bitches and hoes and money.
yeah.
I can't stand raps like that. But if it's got some actual substance to it, yeah, it's awesome.
So the creative process, right, is because in rap, aren't there folks that can just rattle it straight out, straight from brain to voice?
Yeah.
Well, there's people that are good at freestyling, but that takes some freaking skill.
Yeah. But what is that? So for you, right, do you spend a lot of time then constructing the lyric?
Yeah, well, and I have to be motivated by music. I have to have a beat first. I have to have music first because I have to be inspired by the music itself.
What about that time that you were going up against those guys that were dissing or giving you a bit of a hard time, right? So that the lead time there wouldn't have been long. You would have turned that round in a couple of days, perhaps, or
I did that rap in one night. Yeah,
yeah. So that's very fluid, isn't it? Very
yeah,
fluid.
but I stayed up for a full 24 hours doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a problem with me. Either if and that's why I'm in a writer's rut right now because if I don't finish a song when I start it, I end up getting in these writer's ruts. I kind of need to finish my thought and my song right when I start.
There's a lot of shit going on in the world that needs a voice, so surely there's plenty of inspiration.
Well, I think that guy, the link that I just gave, that guy right there, uh, has a lot of insight and a lot of good points. And he's not when I first posted this on Google Plus. I think it was Tommy Hall commented on it and was like, "Oh, these atheists," and he assumed that this guy was an atheist. This guy's not even an atheist. It's just legitimate doubts and questions that he has about the biblical God.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, rightly so.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how people quickly judge like that.
Hmm. Oh, I mean, for me, it was a long discovery process, but now I'm very clear-minded about the problem, and it's just power versus, it's the old evil versus good story, really. People are just being, and that's that two wolf story. So that's where it lies, but it's playing out. It plays out all through bloody human history.
Well, but you're saying you're clear-minded. Are you by saying that? Are you saying that you have the answers now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I know exactly what to do.
So really, there's no room for growth once you think that you have it all figured out.
But it's not about growth. You see, the meaning of life is not about growth or understanding or, the whole journey.
So you say, but how do you know you're right?
Oh, pretty sure, I'm confident. But the meaning of life is not an intellectual event, it's an experiential event. So you find your meaning in the experience, and that's how you come to understand the whole story or the two wolves.
Well, you don't think the experience requires the intellectual as well?
No,
they're not mutually exclusive.
Well, take Taoism, right? Or Zen, where you're supposed to be in the moment. Well, the meaning comes after, putting yourself in that clear-minded state. And things just make sense. Probably stumbling with words.
Well, where you are now doesn't mean that you shouldn't. Living in the now doesn't mean that you shouldn't look ahead.
Well, you could look at it that way, but things will take care of themselves. I mean, I'm not sort of absent-minded that I've finished the book and now I've got to get back to work. So I'm going through processes to get back into work, and I know that I need work to feed the family and keep the money coming in. So I'm not like what you may think in that I just don't worry about things. I still have all of that, but I understand the mechanics with a lot of confidence. I know how things play out. So take, for example, world peace, right? It's not as hard as people would think in achieving it, with one premise that we're able to handle the economic situation so we can get food on the table. If we can manage that, well, peace is simply a matter of, like it is for a person, destroying the ego. And if you can, well, firstly, opening up, examining it. So that's what the spiritual journey is about identifying ego. And then once you understand what it really is, then you take the reins, And,
well, wouldn't it be a little bit egotistic to believe that you've arrived at the truth and that you're certain about that you're 100% certain on that truth?
Yeah, you might like to think so, but I don't. I don't think it's egotistical at all. I think it's just facing up to the facts.
Well, the problem that I have with that is that a lot of people, take for instance me in my past, and this is why I cannot any longer say, hey, I have 100% truth here, because in my past journey, I've always held that position. Oh, I'm right in this area. I'm right, and realized that I was wrong.
Yeah. Well, I just haven't seen any evidence to the contrary. I mean, if it comes up, I'll acknowledge it. But the story's very consistent all through history.
But consistency doesn't mean it's correct. You can be consistent in a fairy tale book, and it's still not correct.
Yeah, but you're talking across the nation globally.
I don't want to cut in. I just want to know what we're talking about, because I just finished listening to a song, which is dope. But what was the topic?
Well, maybe you might want to talk about Eve's song first, perhaps while it's fresh in mind. We can always come back to the other.
Well, no, we can talk about our song outside of here. I don't want to take over
that's all right.
Talking about music.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm comfortable either way. So, but I mean, there is a phenomenon, right? And it's sort of generally witnessed through time where there's an enlightenment event, right, in certain people's life where they, it's like an aha moment. So I think that aha moment, and if you look at the Gnostic Jesus, he says, know thyself, and that's the journey sort of thing. And it just sort of makes sense that if you understand that, we've got these two instinctive drivers. One, one's governed by survival of the individual or the unit, and the other one's about survival as a community, as a herd, the love thy neighbour concept, watch your neighbour. It seems that's the common theme.
But I don't really see those two concepts as separate.
Yeah, just explain that a little, sort of, a bit more.
Well, to think about the individual would be to think about society as a whole. Like it's kind of the same as.
I agree with that comment too, by the way.
Yeah, it's kind of the same as a lot of people say that, selfishness is a bad thing. Well, not necessarily. So sometimes selfishness isn't a bad thing. For instance, if I was selfish as far as, let's see how I could explain this. If I was selfish as far as, I had a group of people that I was surrounded by, and I only had my children, it was kind of a primitive situation, and I had to fight for food, and I fought for food against others to fulfill my urge of hunger. But the thing is doing that, I would survive to be able to take care of my children.
Right. So what you
right.
just spoke there, though, remember I said before that you see, you can't look at spirituality in a vacuum. So there's three elements that I found that were important in understanding the spiritual reality. You had to.
What's your definition of spirituality, though? I mean, I would have to know what you mean, what you're defining as spirituality.
I would ask first, what's his definition of a vacuum?
So you can't look at it in a vacuum. So what you've got is you've got a natural world, right? So if let's assume that the natural world was screwed, well, we're screwed, so there's no spirituality, right? So that's in the mix. It has to be. Then on top of that, you've got an economic reality. We can't survive in life, so we can't sustain our life unless we can sort of meet our basic needs, economically. That means, get the raw materials that we need to sustain life. And then the third, so then once you get those two in place, well, then you can start saying, all right, well, now that we understand those, so my point was, I was going to say back to you, the example you gave was about that economic reality, and what I'd said before you'd had that chance to talk about that was I'd said, given that there was an economic situation where you could feed everyone. So if you don't have the food on the table, well, that has a dramatic impact on the.
I was just using that as an example. I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty. A pretty good question to want to know what you define as spirituality in a vac.
Yeah. So those three elements have to be part of it because that's the big picture of our world. So spirituality doesn't exist in any vacuum. It's innate. It's intrinsic to.
Can you define both of those, though? I mean, it's hard for me to understand what you're even talking about if you can't define both of those.
Both of what? Sorry.
Vac and spirituality.
I think you guys are putting vac in there, but what I'm saying is there is no vacuum. There just is what is. There's a natural world, there's an economic reality, and then there's a spiritual reality. The spiritual reality is this. There are two primitive, and there's science to back this one up too. So if you want to get into the science, I'll show.
If science can back it up, then wouldn't that make it a natural reality?
Yeah, natural, that's right. Spiritual.
How you define it that it's spiritual? Are you talking about the black wolf, white wolf thing again?
Yeah, because it turns out that what they're about is two survival strategies. So the first survival strategy, and it's very innate, right? It's very much hard-coded into the individual. The individual then favours the self, and it takes advantage. And there's a study that clearly shows that we have that, and even to the point that we're not quite conscious when it's active. But that plays out, and that's the selfish side, the thing that's self-serving. And the other survival strategy that we have is this one about longing and belonging to a herd. And you can see both of those strategies playing out in the natural world. So they're not just confined to humans, it's just that humans have them both. And they are the underlying basis for the behaviours that the Two Wolf story talks about.
Okay, but how does that make us spiritual?
Yeah,
I still don't see how you're defining spirituality.
Okay, so probably this. So when you choose the good wolf, right, and you've got to make choice, right? So it's about you and your choices, and it's about your awareness of what you're choosing between that are part of the enlightenment journey. When you make a choice to feed the good wolf, right? So in other words, you put yourself down lower than the others are more important. What happens then is a number of interesting things, right? There's 5 of them that stand out, and Plato recognised them. You get, right, or it comes out of you, this genuine courage, this genuine sense of justice, this genuine wisdom, and this genuine temperance. And if you know people that exhibit those characteristics, which Plato acknowledged in the Republic, which talks to your point about what you see in the individual, you also see in the society. Another thing, really interesting thing happens. You lose this taste for death. And the fear of death is one of the great inhibitors. And it's basically what a lot of the religious texts do, you know, this liberation from fear of death. And this is why we have the bullshit stories of resurrection being highly valued, because people want an answer to the death phenomenon. But in reality, it's built in, it's hardwired into us that when we get stuff and we choose to feed the good wolf, we actually lose the taste of death. And you can't teach these things. And that was another observation by Plato in his piece called Meno.
So I kind of have a question here.
Right.
So what I'm hearing is you explaining, and correct me if I'm wrong too. What I hear mostly is you explaining human psychology and things that can be observed, you know, by behavior science.
Sure.
But none of that really kind of, you know, those things are, you know, again, they can be tested, demonstrated by science. However, I'm still kind of, and I do recognize that you are, you know, attempting to answer the question. So, you know, I'm not going to accuse you of not trying to answer, but I still don't have a understanding of what you mean by spiritual. Like,
Okay.
I hear you.
I understand the question. It's fine, and I love the question. So don't take it the wrong way. Right. So when you read the Gnostic Jesus text, or if you listen to the Noahide group that Reuven attends, and the Noahide group, you know, they're fans of the Torah. Torah is valid. And you see in there that it's got the Nazarite tradition, and you see that the Essenes follow that stuff. Where you end up is, and you read the Gospel of Thomas, right? Where you end up is you have a Jesus that says, he doesn't talk about beliefs, right? What he talks about is knowing a living Father that lives within, just like the wolf lives within. And if you don't get it, you live in poverty. So you got that duality again. So the things that a lot of people confound as spirituality, right? Things like floaty gods and angels and all of that are constructs that are mythical. They have no foundation in our reality at all. So it turns out that they're used to secure the belief paradigm. The belief paradigm gives power. That's the way that works. So and my, you know, in my book, I actually show specifically when those events happen and how they happen and what the motivation were, which were political. So, I guess.
Rob, when you said the Torah is valid, what do you mean it's valid?
It's mythically valid.
I heard that as well.
So it talks about.
What do you mean by mythically valid? I mean, if it's a myth, can't anything be mythically valid?
Yeah, but it's got to relate to a knowable experiential reality.
He means useful.
Well, no, real, mate. It talks about real things, like when we shed a tear of joy.
I can find a Disney story that may be useful in some way.
Well, you know the phenomenon love and tears of joy and all that. They're quite real, aren't they?
Yeah, but those can be explained by like neuroscience.
Well, explain the tear of joy through neuroscience for me.
It sounded like to me that you were suggesting that the wisdom that came from Christ contributes to this spirituality. And to me, wisdom doesn't equal spirituality. And I'll also say this. I've said it on plenty of Hangouts before. I actually consider myself a spiritual atheist. But I don't define spirituality as supernatural. I define spirituality as the all, the mystery within the universe itself, within natural means that we experience, within self-reflection. That's how I define spirituality. And the reason I define it that way is because I believe that humanity as a whole experiences these things, yet people that are religious want to imply something supernatural to it.
Correct.
instead of deeming it as just something that we experience in the reality that we perceive.
Yeah, and I kind of want to clarify what I just said too.
Well, just before you do, Alex, just 1 second.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to acknowledge what Eve said, and perhaps my words fail me, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. It is so the God phenomenon is nature in essence, and us trying to wrap words around it. But through history, it's been politicized, and it's the politicizing that puts the gods in the sky. I could show you exactly where that happened, and that whole concept was born in the Bible. It's that sort of thing. So sorry to cut across you, Alex, but I just wanted to acknowledge.
We in that aspect, when you put it like that, it seems easy to follow. But the wolf thing, it kind of lost me a little bit. But I understand that it's used as
the wolf thing is like the yin yang thing, Alex.
Right, it's used as the metaphor.
Which I don't think is a spiritual thing, though. I think that this is actually a natural thing. We have the tendency to do good things. We have the tendency to do not so good things.
And it's probably the reason why we kept asking for clarity when we used the word spiritual. And
all right, I accept that. So let's take that out of the language and just say this: that it's about those survival instincts. They generate the behaviours that we witness. The behaviours then result in all of the, So when you're selfish, it sort of has like a stream of its own karma.
I don't agree with that. I believe that when you're selfish, it depending on what you're being selfish about, it can benefit society as a whole as well.
No, well, generally speaking, no. No, I don't think so, because the
beneficial factor of society is the individual themselves. You can't have a functioning society if you don't have functioning individuals.
Yeah, but you can function without being selfish.
It's just like the saying that if mama's not happy, nobody's happy. It's actually kind of a true statement.
Yeah, but mama's true mama, right, is never selfish. She's really about everybody else.
No, she is selfish. She has to be selfish to even be a great mom.
Not in my life.
To a certain extent, it depends on what you're defining. For one, it depends on what you're defining selfish. But in another sense, she has to be somewhat selfish, or she cannot even protect and provide for her children.
No, I think what she's trying to say is the mother would have to take care of herself, where she couldn't take care of anybody.
That's right. You cannot be someone who lets yourself go and be able to take care of another.
Yeah, but part of I understand what you're saying, but I still think that it's wrong. The primary motivation, or at least I'll use my wife as an example, right? I've been around her for a long time, so we're up around 37 years, so I feel I know her reasonably well, and I don't think that she puts any acts and airs and grace on, but her life and her joy in life is caring for the others, for her family. And what you're talking about, though, those things that and you're right, I mean, you do need to take care of business, you've got to feed the self, etc. Those basic order things, but they're...
Her taking care of her family is beneficial to herself as well.
It feeds us all, certainly, but she's certainly comparatively a very selfless individual.
Well, it depends on what you're defining as selfless, because it's just like.
Well, it's where what's important to you as an individual. And don't forget our true war story, right? Remember.
But what seems important to you as an individual? Wouldn't that be selfish? Wouldn't that be something that defines you, something that's about you, something that you find as important?
Yeah, it's what I find interesting is how people have to have selfishness. But anyway, so
selfishness is a great thing to survive within society and within your own home.
No.
Now, if you want to define selfishness as just caring about you and nobody else, then yeah, I can see how you're saying that selfishness is damaging.
Yeah, so it definitely is that form of selfishness where it's just about the unit, and Because if you feed that wolf, what happens is you begin to then think, and this is science, right? Begin to then think lesser of other people, and it's nothing to run them over. Even it gets that bad. You just have no value for the other person. It's only about yourself. So this is what the old Cherokee's talking about. If you continually feed that sort of wolf, it's associated with greed, jealousy, all of the negative connotations and behaviours get fostered out of that choice to look after number one. And it's very primitive and innate. It's there, and you've got to be guarded against it.
Yeah, but you know what? If I could say, for someone to have that mindset to just think about number one, and people define that as selfishness. Okay, but here's the thing: if they just think about number one, then actually they're doing damage to their self, because yes, we are a societal species. So actually, they're not being selfish. They're actually if I need to use my terms good here. What they're doing is they're actually damaging their self.
Right.
So to be selfish, in my opinion, would be to consider yourself, which would include society. Which means that if you're looking at it in that sense, then you need to take care of yourself and care about those around you. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, let's just take the pure good wolf story, right? In that, justice and courage and a sense of justice comes in. Now, what a sense of justice does, it means, and part of the journey is you look at your fellow human as an equal individual, and that's important. That comes with rights and responsibilities. So your sense of justice allows you then to walk up to someone that's misbehaving and call them out for it without any fear or favour. So that's part of the story, So it's, I'm trying to put it in simple terms, but it's where you are really. So Jesus puts it this way, right? He says, those that have something in hand will be given even more, and those that do not, so those that are being selfish assholes, be deprived of that little that they do have. And
Jesus said it exactly like that. I'm sorry, it was an easy joke I had to put in there.
So, Rod, can you be greedy on behalf of someone else?
Can I be greedy on behalf? Why would I do that?
Like a Robin Hood?
Yeah.
Oh, I like Robin Hood. Yeah, I mean, yes, actually, I like that idea, and I'll tell you why I like it, because I feel that there's a bunch of rich assholes that have got an inequitable share of our resources unjustly, so I'd love to see them hauled in for a court justice, right? I'd like to see them go and live in a 3-bedroom when we're done with them, so I don't want them killed, but I'd like to take their resources that they stole back so that we can do something for the benefit of the wider population, really spread it back out into the community, because my research sort of says that there's been a lot of shifty business over the time, people pinching and getting an unequitable and unjust share of the economic resources.
On
Robin Hood I like.
On this topic, seeing rich assholes pretty much, understand how besides, excluding those who have starting from a poor, but I was just watching a documentary, and this is just kind of pop into it as well. There was a bunch of hip hop artists that they all traveled to, the poorest parts of Africa. And most of these artists will be artists that would brag about how much money they have and all this stuff, and then they get hit with reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They get hit with reality, and these people cry to them, talk to them about what's going on here and how they had pretty harsh criticism by a lot of the locals that say, you Americans, you tend to not understand what you have, or you flaunt it around and yada yada yada, instead of pretty much keeping it and salvaging it and make sure your children's children is safe and protected for the future. And I would love to see the proverbial rich assholes to have that same type of slap.
Awakening. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
can I interject here? Because
Yeah.
I know what you're saying here. I think that there's some people out there that's got too much money for their own good, and they can be helping people. But I also think that that rich people are kind of generalized and bunched in this box, because I think there are some rich people who are actually even looking out for their family. They're putting that money ahead for generations to come.
Hmm.
And we don't know the difficulties necessarily that rich people go through. I mean, for one, their bills are probably increased, and with the materials that they get, especially if they're getting a whole bunch of things that are going to cost more, which is stupid in my
Mortgage.
perspective. But I can see how maybe the stresses would become different than ours. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's easy to judge other people's situations when we're not in them, especially rich people that have all this money.
Hmm.
At the same time, I'm not so sure that it's so simple enough for us to say, oh, they're rich, they should be willing to give up this money. I mean, if I have my children and I become rich, my first concern is going to be my kids and their kids and their kids and their kids. So the generations after my children are going to be my concern. But I'm not going to say that my concern for the world that is, the children that are starving in the world and people that are doing worse off than I am. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to be worried about them, but my main priority would be my children and their children and so forth.
Yeah. Okay, and I get that, but I'm just kind of we probably
I think
try.
that could turn into a greed thing. Like, I think that people could hold on to what they don't necessarily have to hold on to because they're worried about that, if that
Yeah,
makes any sense.
yeah. So what I did, I just put a link in the chat window there, and it's a study that was conducted by a guy called Paul Piff from Berkeley. So if you have a look at that video, and you'll see how we have this innate, and it truly is innate. I mean, it sneaks up on us, and I've had the experience myself when I became a boss of a couple of other people, and where you sort of you favour yourself in your own position, and you take advantage, and it can sort of develop into greed if it's not checked. And the whole religious teachings are trying to teach you that desire, if you let it run away, and all of these things, they take you into dangerous territories. And that's all I'm saying, is that they all talk about the same thing. Now, Eve, you had a question. Rob, you stated something about
If I can interject real quick before you answer my question, because I don't think that it's necessarily concern for yourself, these rich people that we're talking about. I think it's concern for the generations of their children.
Yeah, and I hear that comment, but when you get people that have got assets that would do for about 10,000 generations, it sort of goes a little bit overboard.
I think
And
it does too. I would agree with that. Absolutely, yeah.
so it sort of behoves our community in a sense of justice to say that, and I'm sorry, you also need to add in what effort that they put into earn that sort of wealth. And now we start to drift into the conversation on interest. Interest is an activity that occurs where nothing's produced economically, and that in itself is immoral, because the whole reason that we have economic activity is to produce the services that we need to just get along and live our life. And once we get that settled, then it should be about the experience of life, and music and entertainment and company and
let me just stress real quick that the actions of rich people, I'm not justifying those actions. That's not what I meant by what I stated. What I'm trying to say is their psyche, their psychological mindset gets to the point, I think it's possible that they get to the point where they're so concerned about their future family lines that they exclude the rest of the world, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, but in that element, there's also, greed's what greed is by its own nature. It's just that wanting to acquire as much as you can. So it's like it goes beyond the need, and it just starts to grab a life all of its own, and it's just insatiable. So like love and all that, they're satiated in the moment, but when you talk about the things that are associated with greed, they're never satisfied, and it's impossible to satisfy them. So they just keep going and going and going and going and going, and it's done for the sake of this advantage. So that video that I shared, it really does show that quality and how it can dangerously get away with it. Your question on peace, though, do you think world peace can be achieved with limited resources? It's a challenge for sure, because one of the issues I think that we've got is the size of our population. One of our realities is that we sit on a planet that's limited. No matter what you say, our planet does not grow, and whether you see it now as being stretched to its limits, or whether it's sometime in the future, there must be at some point a point where our capacity, of human numbers exceeds what the planet can cope with. I'd argue that we've already exceeded that limit, and I'd give as evidence the state of fish populations and forests.
Well, that's why I'm thankful for homosexuals. Just saying.
Yeah, well, see, the homosexual story is interesting because my research showed that it was Domitian, one of the Flavians, that was the inspiration between homophobia. Before that, I think homosexuality seems to be, well, certainly in certain parts of the world, was just accepted as the norm. Domitian seems to, and the Flavians, they're a military family, and the Vespasian, who was the emperor at the time that I say the synoptics were written, he was notorious for not tolerating philosophy. He was a black and white sort of a dude. And, that's the kind of world he wanted to live in. So these are the guys that sit behind the authorship and the corruption of the true wisdom. But peace on Earth. Well, it's about firstly becoming aware of what ego does in our communities, and I'm talking about.
I don't think ego would matter if the resources were small, though. I mean, it would matter. Well, ego would matter. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter at all, because people would be concerned for their own small circles. But I don't. I actually see less peace if the resources are limited.
Oh yes, definitely. It's unavoidable, because you'd get to a point where, just imagine the two of us sitting out in a boat and there's only one can of baked beans. At some point, we'll have to face that reality of who gets to eat.
At some point, we're going to fight for that can of beans.
That's right.
We're going to fucking fight. Have you ever seen The Life of Pi?
Motherfuckers have to get past me.
The Life of Pi is a great movie.
Yeah, that's right. It is a good one. Yes, I agree. But yeah, that's you can't ignore the economic reality. Yeah, you can't ignore the economic reality, but I think where you sort of see ego or selfishness as an advantage, it'll generally track back to that, that having to satisfy that economic reality. What I'm kind of
that is the reality, though. If you don't satisfy it, then you're dead. And it doesn't matter how you define spirituality. If you don't satisfy the reality, then you don't have shit. Squat. Yeah. You're dead. You're gone.
I think I need to share with you another video. This one's only a 3-minute one, so it's a bit easier to go through. But you'll see in this one, and we'll drift away from humans. All right, we'll just drift into a baboon community.
Oh, I was gonna guess monkeys.
Well, they are our descendants. We are family. So in that particular video, you'll get a great example of two. It's one community, right? But they get a disruptive event that occurs in their life, and their whole way of life changes because of that particular event. I won't talk about what it is. I'll just let you guys watch it. But
cool.
what it clearly shows, what it'll clearly show is that that you get a much more gentler, peaceful, loving, nurturing, respectful environment when your consciousness is about the herd than you do if your consciousness is about the alpha male or the self.
Well, I would agree with that, but at the same time, if your consciousness or reality shows you that there's limited resources for limited people, then there's not going to be peace. There's not.
Oh, yeah,
People
I
are going to fight to keep their inner circles at that climax, at that survival point.
We are complicated creatures.
Well, no, I disagree. Actually, I think that it's a lot. I think it's quite simple, really. I think see, if we understood our reality, I think, and we got rid of the corruption in religion, and we understood the true story, then our efforts would be collectively about trying to satisfy that economic question for everybody, you know, so that everyone...
Well, I agree. I'm just saying if it got to the point, I'm not saying that there's nothing, I'm not saying there's nothing we could do about it. I'm just saying if it got to the point where it was limited resources, then I don't think that we would be such a peaceful species.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And wasn't it Easter Island, I think, that they reverted to cannibalism at some point?
Oh, I don't know.
Easter Island's that island where they actually consumed all their resources over time. They were an isolated community, and they went through a whole series of societal change, and they had worship and icons and all that sort of thing. But the interesting thing about Easter Island is that it was isolated. So it was a self-contained study, and they actually got to the point where that very issue that you're talking about became an issue. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it would because that primitive survival instinct is extremely strong, and it's very primitive, and it will probably...
It's not, but I don't see it as... What do you mean by primitive? Do you mean as in... I mean, a lot of people use the word primitive to be kind of a derogatory aspect of things.
Oh, no, I don't know. No, primitive in terms of, you know, got a long backstory. So it's in the animal world. It's innate. It's part of the fabric of the story.
Well, it's actually a good thing that it is. If it wasn't, we probably wouldn't even be. We probably would be extinct.
Well, it'll be good for you, Eve, but I'll be dead, and you'll be sitting there sucking on that can of beans. So it won't be too good for me.
You're damn right. You're damn Scipio would be. Well, I mean, it's not that I wouldn't want the peace between us, and here's the good thing, and here's the hope within humanity, is that we're very intelligent, and we could come up with ways that we can be resourceful, and we can reserve the resources that we have. And even possibly come up with ways of creating resources. So that's the great thing about humanity. I was just kind of using a hypothetical there.
No, Eve, you're actually right. I'm acknowledging that you're absolutely right. When the economic rug's pulled from under us, we're going to revert to the evil wolf, to use that analogy. But our community life and, you know, the lives of, you know, these kids that die in these bloody wars that are all about power, and they have no real, in a bigger sense, they have no real, they don't need to happen, right? They happen because...
Right, I agree with that, yes.
You know, like Putin at the moment, right? He's a guy that I would call an egomaniac, and he's trouble for us. And it's all about politics.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah. So those things don't need to happen. So it's about changing it's about becoming aware of these dynamics, this duality that persists across all human history, and then calling it for what it is, you know, and saying, hey, look over there, that bastard's being selfish and he doesn't need to be. Stop it. Drag him off to court. or do a Robin Hood on him, take his riches away. Because
Well, I'm gonna fight with you on the selfish thing, but I get your point, so I'll let you continue.
all right. Well, no, that's it. I probably should have.
I don't want to.
Sorry,
I don't want to. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to acknowledge Brother John. It probably is a Congress. I wouldn't have a clue. And Cerebrus, you're into murder of baboons. So Cerebrus, over to you.
I was going to say, I think, just in case that it ever happens, if like Eve and Rob's in a boat,
Yes.
Your strategy should actually be to give them, the other person, the can of beans, so that when their hands are full, you can club them and eat them.
I was going to say first.
Well,
the can of
what
beans,
about the
then
strategy
you do.
trying to find out how to fish? You know what I'm saying? Like trying to the strategy.
See, that's perfect.
In all angles should be to try and find any way you can to survive without harming one another. That should be the strategy.
You know what's messed up, Eve? The whole time we're sitting here talking about eating the can of beans and then like eating the person afterwards, we didn't even consider fishing.
Well, see, that's perfect. What you can do.
No, wait a minute. You said we. No, I did.
Well,
I just brought that up. You did not.
I met everyone else.
No, see, this is perfect. You take a femur, and then you take some sinew, right, and make some string, and you get yourself a fishing pole.
What better bait than human flesh?
Exactly. Get yourself a shark.
There. Okay.
I'm voting that I don't go in a boat with Cerebrus. I'd rather take my chances with Eve.
Oh, I will promise you, Rob, that I will do the most good with my life.
Well, I'll sacrifice myself for the good of humanity, shall I?
We'll cut just a little bit of cheek off to get a shark on the boat.
Yeah, Rob, do you
Just
really
a little
need
bit
both
of
arms?
Nah.
Oh, man.
Well, do Australians taste like
That's
Kangaroo. What's that thing? Everything tastes like chicken, so I suppose we taste like chicken.
Oh God, I wonder how a kangaroo tastes.
I'm feeling uncomfortable now.
I'm imagining like a really good koala bear.
A koala bear.
Oh dear. Yeah.
No, seriously, if you guys like grew up with me and like went to high school with me, I will. If this was a topic, I would be the guy that raised my hand and you was bringing up koala bears. I swear I would have said something like, "Do we really need koala bears? Like, come on, we can just put them on a Chinese Panda Express buffet meal line or something." Do we need them? I mean, honestly, what did they contribute?
I mean, really, we don't. I mean, they eat some leaves of a plant that's not really that, that popular. So I mean,
fucking eucalyptus
So,
plant.
well, yeah, that eucalyptus that we planted over in California, that went well, didn't it? Sort of caused all that. That was part of our takeover plan, just didn't work. So we're still working on it. But then you've got over here, you got the wombat, right? So the wombat, the big joke about wombats is they're useless because they only eat roots and leaves. They root and they leave. So in Australia, the term root is used for the sex act.
Oh, so wombats don't eat toads?
No, well.
Okay, I just got back, and I thought I heard something about a sex act.
Oh yeah, I was talking.
We were talking about wombats.
Wombat. So, the classic joke here in Australia when we talk about wombats is wombats. I don't know whether it's useless or useless, but we say, or we might say that you're as useless as a wombat because all you do is you eat, you root, and you leave. And root in Australia is a term for the sex act.
Yeah, well, speaking of wombat sex acts, did anyone see Shannon Dornbush's latest video?
Who, sorry?
The one where she's apologizing?
No, the one where she's talking about her atheist allergies type bullshit. I forgot what else she talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. Why? What about it?
Yeah. Okay. So, is isn't it ironic? If you haven't seen it, it probably doesn't make sense now. But after after this hangout, and you go see it, you'll understand. But it's ironic that almost everything that she lists will be things that, all the things that she contribute to what an atheist is like. And of course, they're conflated,
I thought she was saying that was
nonsense.
her syndrome, her problems.
Right. Well, yeah, she said that those her issues, or that's what she's getting at. But then it's like, no, you've had that all along. If that was the case, because as long as I've been on, huh?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry. I was just going to say, is that Shanna Rocker or Rocky?
No, Dornbush.
No, not Rocky. No, not Shayna Rocky.
Dornbush, the wombat sex act. I was mentioning it.
How can you
not
equate the word sex with her? Seriously.
Oh yeah, the shrivel. Doesn't that make you shrivel?
Just don't. And
think about this.
I try not to be judgmental, but sometimes I just can't help it. Just don't equate sex with that woman.
Yeah, well,
think about this, Eve. She had sex and have kids. Someone had sex with them.
Alex,
and had
shut
kids. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, when you come to spiritual awareness, you shouldn't be uncomfortable with your appearance. You shouldn't be uncomfortable with your appearance. So if you're born ugly, take me. Just don't worry about it.
Ugly people need love too.
Yeah, but I got plenty.
Ugly people and fat people.
Yeah, fat people
they all need some love.
Fat people need love.
Hey, there is some men that love heavy set women.
Hey, I've loved a few heavy set women in my day.
Okay, this might sound a little racist, but let me ask you something, Alex. Why does it seem like most of these men that do love the heavy set women are black men?
Well, 2 reasons. And I can tell you from just growing up in the hood for what I've witnessed, and just as a disclaimer to people. Well, no. All right. Have you ever seen the movie Barbershop? Okay,
Yeah, I think
there's a scene in the movie Barbershop. Yeah, with Ice Cube and all those guys. There's a scene in the movie where they're talking about women with big asses and big ass women. Well, all right, I'll come back to that later. But for what I've noticed in, growing up in the hood or whatever, if it's a guy dating, a heavyset woman, and again, as a disclaimer, there's nothing wrong with being heavyset, folks. Typically, it's not like a heavyset woman that has her life in order. Typically, it's someone that's desperate for a guy, and then some of the guys who, I'm excluding the fact that they're black or whatever, but it's typically guys who don't really have their shit together, and they kind of want to mooch off for someone that's doing just a little bit better, and so they go after the women that's kind of
too much shit.
Yeah, so they kind of go after women that might be like a little desperate for some attention, and it's complicated.
But still, I've even noticed even just a slightly overweight women, I would say 20, 30 pounds, maybe even 50 pounds max overweight women. It seems to me, and maybe this is just a perception that I have that everybody else doesn't, but it seems to me that more black men are attracted to me in my heavy set days or my heavier set time periods than in the time periods that I'm more skinny or thin.
Oh, a brother can't get enough of that ass, baby.
and really, and I'm not saying a black person that's looking for someone who is, because my confidence is still the same. My confidence, I am still who I am. So it's not someone who's looking for someone that they can easily mooch off of or manipulate or whatever. It could be a very confident and substantiated black man.
I'm sure there's probably some deep-rooted psychological reason going back to
they like the thickiness. Come on now, they like that ass where they can smack that ass and it jiggles.
Oh yes. Oh my God. Yeah.
Alex,
yeah.
do you want to take 5 minutes? Alex, do you want to?
might have
Right?
to, I'm fanning myself right now.
You know what always made me cringe with pornos is the women that had asses where when they just barely bent over, they didn't have to bend over a whole lot, just barely bent over, and like they don't even have to bend over, like their ass is already spread apart because that's how scrawny they are, like there's no ass there at all. It's like it's I don't know.
I don't know.
To me, it's just gross.
And you know me, Eve. I've had firsthand in the
There's no crack.
industry.
Where's the crack at?
Where your crack at, baby? You know, for those
this
who
is so
don't know,
horrible. Look, we've turned an intellectual.
No, we had a reasonable conversation.
No, it's all still part of the mix because obesity's, to take it to a well-being level, obesity's an issue, and it's.
Well, here comes the adult to ruin the fun.
I wanted to get it in because
I was going to say when I was in the in the porn industry, the person I was with, I might as well have been fucking two brooms because she was about as thin as they come, man. I mean, literally, she was about as thin as they come.
What the hell do you grab onto? Bone? It's bone hitting bone?
It's bone.
How fun is that?
I can tell you what's the worst. The worst is, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the reverse cowgirl. Yeah, when they're skinny like that, it starts digging into your thigh and the shit is uncomfortable. It's really hard to keep an erection like that.
No cushion, no cushion there.
No cushion, man. It's like, damn. It's like she's about ready to give me hip dysplasia or something.
Yeah. You're saying I'm going back to the hood, right?
This is terrible. We have ruined this hangout.
Can we just ask a favor?
One second.
Can we avoid the phrase "bone on bone" because it gives me the heebie-jeebies every time someone says it?
Bone on. All right, I'm sorry. I just wanted. Reuven, what do you have to say about this?
Put him on the spot.
Yeah, Reuven, bring us back.
What did we say earlier about Reuven?
Nothing. Oh, he's asexual.
What happened?
That's actually interesting to me. Are you really, Reuven? Because I do know somebody else on here that is.
I also know someone else who is.
Yeah, maybe we can get you together.
Reuven, I don't even know what you look like, buddy. Like, you need to show me something because Carl Sagan is not cutting it for me. I wonder who
the angel icon is kind of creepy.
What happened? Hold on, my connection is fucking up.
Gary, your angel icon is creepy.
Gary, did you leave?
We probably put him to sleep.
He might be hurt. You might have just heard him.
With our primitive conversation.
No, about his little angel. It might have hurt his feelings.
Wait, so Reuven is bi.
Was that a...
No, he's not bi. He's asexual. Asexual means he doesn't really have a sexual preference or is even very sexually active, right? Reuven, am I describing that correctly? No attraction, either way. There you go. There's no sexual desire or need there.
Oh.
Look, it's evolution, man. Evolution is creating asexuals and homosexuals because our population's too much.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking. I mean, that would imply that evolution is intelligent in making these decisions. So I'm not saying.
I was gonna say, then you have people like me that's just having their cake and eating it too.
And what does that mean?
He's plenty sexual.
Wait, what was the term?
I'm bi-curious.
I said plenty sexual.
That's right. I like that. I like that term right there.
Put it in your next rap, mate. Do a rap about plenty sexual koala.
Oh, God. Looks like I have my new rap name.
Get those creative juices going. Hey, what's that?
Looks like I have my new rap name.
The plenty sexual koala. Who likes to go down? Who likes to go down under?
Oh shit!
I'm gonna name my album that.
Down under.
No, I'm gonna name it the plenty sexual koala.
Yeah, but put in fine print that likes to go down under.
Oh
that'll
yeah, that's
sell out of here, mate. I'm telling you.
Subtitles. I'll be real popular amongst the clubs here.
Yeah, I bet you would.
Oh man, I'll be a hoot in Pride Parade.
Alex, we have destroyed this hangout.
We have. I feel so bad.
Yeah,
it's just a hangout.
And we've covered lots.
Wait, so Reuven just changed his...
What is that?
Reuven just changed his picture.
I don't see his picture changed. Is it changed?
Yeah, you don't see it?
No. It's still Carl Sagan.
No. Eve, can you go to his icon and or his little image down the bottom and click on it and see what comes up in the middle of your screen?
It's still Carl Sagan.
Yeah. It's got that ass.
Personally, Carl Sagan is not all that.
Was he like part native or something, or he looked
if he was native, he'd be sexier than that.
Nah, Reuven, 100% Jewish.
I was gonna say he's gotta be a Jew. Look at his nose. Oh man, that's so sexist. I mean, that's so racist. Damn, I'm getting my terminologies mixed up. I need to stop drinking.
Yeah.
Reuven, fight for the nose.
She drinks
I mean, why is it? Okay, I understand it could be generalizing, but it shouldn't be racist if it's actually a quality found in that race.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
Yeah, but if we were all enlightened species, we could call each other whatever we like. We just wouldn't worry. That's a better way to go. It's more fun. We should be able to pick each other, have fun.
Yeah, I think sometimes people do take it a little too seriously when people don't mean it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And only in some cases where it can get annoying, like when I was first dating my now ex-girlfriend, and we were talking and kind of in a talking stage, and she's like, "Well, I never dated a black dude and yada yada yada, and is it true that all black guys have such a big wang?" And I'm like,
No.
Well, the thing is I'm not gonna say that, but the thing is I do think that particular feature that we're speaking about does differ with races, but people generalize too much. Like just because the average in the black race may be a little bit higher or a little bit bigger than the white race or another race or the Hispanic race or Asian race, doesn't mean that all black people have this big, huge dick. So women, women are stupid if they want to get all giddy about that shit. and try to find this man. I mean, it shouldn't be about that anyway. So it should be the first thing should be about connection to begin with, not
except
I like the way Alex said. right?
Yeah.
Well,
That was
honestly, it's not even the size don't even matter. It's how the man actually knows the woman's body and how they work it anyway. So it doesn't.
Except in porn.
I'm not going to say it doesn't matter at all. Okay, I won't say it doesn't matter at all.
Right.
But I'll be honest there. But it does. It's not everything.
You know the funny part. I should really probably wait till this Hangout not be live to say this, but the funny part is in the porn industry, they actually quite they actually value connection. As for most people, will probably get the impression that it's just business, which it is generally. However, they'll have you actually get to know your talent, so to speak, and get comfortable enough with your talent to actually at least know them to a state where you like each other in a general sense, instead of just bringing someone in, or as opposed to just bringing someone in and just going at it, because that tends to not work most of the time, as they found out. And
Well, I mean,
that,
we can't slut slam either. I mean, if people really want to do it that way, then that's their thing.
if it works, yeah. I mean,
To
but
me, and I think I can't push my perception on everybody, so I might not be right here, but I think that they would probably get to the point where they understand that a connection or chemistry with someone actually makes the sex a lot better than if
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have
That was kind of the point. So like,
yeah.
you go in and then it's like, okay, your talent's in the other room. Just go and just be casual and talk and just kind of work something there. And what I was taught was most, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Most established companies will prefer that you would get to know your talent, before you just go at it. And they'll give you all the time that you need. I mean, unless it's excessive or something, because if you get too chummy, then you may not want to do anything. But yeah, you'd be surprised coming from like an adult industry that would be something of value, but it is, and most of them at least.
Hmm.
It is. It's strange, I know.
No, it's the human side, though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Human aspect of the act.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of a pleasant surprise. It was like,
Did you
okay,
hear?
well, there is some human aspect to this. I'm not just some machine or anything like that, and that some joker that they found off the streets. They try to. I'm not gonna say that they valued who I am as a person, because that would be overreaching, but they value human communication. Um,
Hmm.
at least the one that I was involved in, and
Hmm.
and it didn't have to like I appreciated that they didn't just say, okay, here's the guy and here's the girl, and all right, go ahead and let's start shooting. It wasn't like that, and I actually prefer that it wasn't, and it was a good thing that we at least got to know each other, even though she barely spoke English. But yeah,
Hmm.
I'll get into that some other time.
Yeah, I mean, for me though, I mean, it's sort of well, it's an interesting one. I mean, because I still don't understand. There is some stories in the literature about the Christians, the early Christians, being quite liberal in that, and I still don't have a handle on, you know, um, you get the story of Mary, so philosophically and intellectually, it reads like Mary is a companion to Jesus, right, in a real
Hmm.
relationship sense. But I haven't come across anything other than there was some scuttlebutt about the Christians were all into, like it sounded like group sex and all the like, but what their sexual life was like back then. But it'd be interesting to see how our society developed if we didn't have the because it's very much the royals and the Victorian era that sort of put a lot of prudishness into the whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
Can I say that I don't, and I'm gonna just be perfectly honest here. Now I'm not saying this to say that certain people should be this way. I'm just saying from my perception of how I see things. For one, I don't think that we are a monogamous species.
No, I totally agree.
For another, and that doesn't mean, okay, and I'm just going to put this out there for a disclaimer, and it's a little personal, but I'm going to put it out there. I haven't had sex with somebody for 2 years. So I'm just putting it out there because people, when I start to talk about this, people actually get this idea that I'm saying, go sleep with everybody in the world, and I'm not. I honestly think that the way society has made relationships is that it's a possession and ownership issue. People have come to this thought that getting involved with someone, well, they're mine. That's my piece of ass, or that's my cock. That's my shit. And they do, even without really recognizing it. Society has made it that way, where,
Right.
and even even open, like people in open relationships that try to be open from the beginning, and they say, look, from the very beginning, they say, look, I don't want to be tied down. I'm not saying I'll go sleep with other people, but I might have a connection with someone else. Let me be able to explore that connection. And the other person says, oh, that's fine, that's fine. But then once that happens, jealousy becomes an issue, and this issue of, no, you belong to me. No, fuck you. I don't belong to motherfucking nobody. That's why I'm anti-relationship. I'm sorry. I am. And like I said, my disclaimer, like I said, I haven't had no one in 2 fucking years, but I will say I don't belong to no motherfucking body, and I would never belong to nobody but myself. And that's it.
You're my new favorite person.
Yeah, I agree with Eve. Seriously.
From a purely spiritual perspective, or at least my grasp on it, jealousy is a bad thing. Jealousy is a bad thing. And, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
It's terrible. Why is it even there? It shouldn't even be there.
Well, it's about the self and ownership.
That's why I'm anti-relationship. I'm sorry. I am.
Yeah.
And like I said, my disclaimer, like I said, I don't prefer to hear myself back. Nobody but myself.
I still hear you.
I know.
I thought for a second that I'm still here trying to sober up, and I'm sitting here like, wait, what happened now? And I'm here her again.
You're getting voices in your head, mate.
Yeah, it scared me for a second. I turned the TV down and everything over here.
You know what? I'll say this: jealousy is a hard thing for humanity to overcome. But I think the main root of jealousy is actually self-esteem. Most people that become jealous of other people, they have self-esteem issues. They're not confident in who they are. If they were, honestly, if you were confident in who you were, and you were with somebody, and that other person decides, well, I want to be with this other person, I mean, should that really bother you? If you were confident in who you are, wouldn't you just be like, okay, well, that's your decision?
Well, it's interesting you brought that up because, like, I remember that week where I was just kind of telling people, I was like, hey, I just got out of a, what I thought was a good relationship with this girl, and it was just kind of random to me. I was like, okay, she ended things, and but I kept telling people I didn't really feel anything afterwards. Like, I totally cared during, but afterwards it was like, okay, she's gone, and I didn't feel anything. It's like I didn't take it as me being confident in myself. I mean, I am confident within myself, but I didn't think that would be it. Like, that's the reason, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, relationships come and go.
Yeah.
They do.
A part of me acknowledgement.
Most of the
I
time.
guess, yeah, and I guess that's probably why I didn't like, cry in the corner or something. But it was just it was weird. I just didn't. I felt like, what's wrong with me? How come I'm not like distraught over this? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, okay, if you put in my aunt and uncle, their point of view, okay, they've been together for like 50 years. I mean, they've been together for a long ass motherfucking time. Which is great, and I'm all for if people want to be monogamous, that's their choice. I don't think that they truly are, because even people who practice monogamy, I believe their thoughts wander, which to me naturally that states that you're not monogamous. But anyways, um, even with them being that way and being together for as long as they have, which is great, I think is lovely, because I love the both of them and I'm glad they're still together. They make an impact on the family, you know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
at the same time, the way that they coped with a lot of their, when they got tired of one another, he ended up making business trips where he would be gone for periods of time
Yeah,
and she would be alone, so that they would separate one another, so they wouldn't get so fucking sick of each other. And it's totally understandable why they did that shit, you
right.
know. And it worked. It worked for them to be able to appreciate each other afterwards.
Yeah, I kind of wish my parents would take some time off from each other because they always bickering about stupid shit.
Yeah, mine was together for 22 years and ended the
Yeah,
shit.
mine's were together for about 25 years, and just last Christmas, my stepdad proposed to my mom, and I was like, really? What was today? The day you decide that she's the one after
What if we
25
was
years?
in a society, okay, that um, where people were open to their partners having connections with other people, not necessarily sexual connections, although they wouldn't worry so much if it led to that.
Hmm.
Um, what if we were? What would that bring to society?
Hmm. You would have to get rid of money first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
you couldn't penalise, or you'd have to get rid of the concept of divorce and all the rest of it.
Right.
Well, I mean, you don't even have to necessarily follow the whole fucking marriage, because marriage is actually just government and state being involved.
Right.
Oh, if you keep on talking like that, I'm gonna have to leave my my girlfriend to propose to you.
Now, I'm just trying to bring a new aspect to this shit, because I really truly believe that society has deemed certain things the way they are.
Right.
And I even think that this is kind of where jealousy stems from.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just self-esteem, but because society has pushed it onto us that we're supposed to be with just one other person.
That's true. I mean, that's going back to the 70s and the hippies, that the whole free love, man, that kind of deal.
Well, how
Uh,
many connections do you make with people in your lifetime? And like I said, it don't even have to be sexual, but how many
right,
connections, how much chemistry do you make with people? People come and go, and the
right,
connections that you make with people come and
right.
go.
That's true. Yeah, yeah,
And sometimes they come and stay. But it doesn't mean that you won't have connections with others either.
right.
Well, I think it's important to be able to be comfortable with yourself. I think that's the number
Right.
one place to be.
Yeah.
And that comes to just your
Yeah.
own awareness, self-awareness, and the enlightenment stuff and all the rest of it. But if you can achieve that, well, then the rest is really not an issue. It'll just fall into whatever place that falls into. So maybe it's not even a question of the t'other. It's just
Well,
about finding yourself, and then let what follows follow.
It's
well,
awesome.
and that's the thing for me. I'm a completely free spirit. Like, I would even consider myself a gypsy soul. You're never gonna tie me down. Period. And so with me, but at the same time, I'm uh, it's kind of hard to define what I'm trying to say here.
Well, you're talking about a longing for the other. Is that what you're heading towards?
Well, okay, if you're a free spirit and you get with somebody else that's also a free spirit, and you live your life together, and just you two, that's fine. But as long as you know that one another is free, but society has made it to where people feel like they have this ownership over another person when they're in a relationship, and that's what I don't like. I can't stand that shit. You don't
I get it.
own me.
What I appreciate, and this is talking about the animal kingdom here, but like bonobos, for example, very social animals, very social creatures.
To put it lightly.
Very social creatures, And I have to say, those are right. And if you want to talk about free spirit, those animals are free spirited. Okay, like they sleep with whoever they want, do whatever they want, and they, generally live in a rather peaceful society, and it's like, and I know some people out there that might be watching this might object to this on the surface.
The reason they object to it is because they have feelings of jealousy toward a loved one. I guarantee it. I guarantee that's one of the objections to this kind of concept.
Yeah, and that's exactly. I mean, but if we were more like bonobos and not just on the, biological way, but just like in a social way, I generally feel like it would be a better place. Instead of having this sense of ownership of each other.
Yeah, the thing is that, and you can even be with somebody and allow them to be free, and still be you never know, you could last with that person for the rest of your life, but they would still be free to be able to connect with others.
Yeah, because I was watching this documentary about him, and like there was they kind of focused on this this bonobo couple, this alpha male, and then one of his chicks, and I love how I'm putting it. It's so weird. And they would get done mating and and whatnot, trying to have more kids. He has like 6 of them, so he has like kids with all of them. And then after they do their thing, she would leave off and join a group of lesbian monkeys and do their thing with them. And it was a rather happy species. That's what I'm getting at.
No, I want to know what Eve thinks of this. I'm not entirely against the being free thing, but I've been sitting here thinking about it, and I think if something happened and she ended up having a kid with someone else, I think that would be the deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. Honesty is key. Okay, with my idea of a relationship, it should be completely honest from the beginning. If you two agree to be open, where you can experience others, but you have an issue with creating offspring with others, then it should be brought to the forefront, and y'all should be talking about that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the dilemmas, well, in my family, is the parenting model. When there's 2 parents involved and you've got different values, it seems that the kids will play you, and they do. I wonder how it works if you start to expand, and I can just see a sort of a snowball of a bunch of other issues coming, where children start to enter the framework of the relationships.
Well, that depends on how open the people are involved. If there's people that are actually open, it can actually work as a community where those children are raised actually pretty proper.
We should be able to find evidence of those sort of models, and I think we do actually, if you looked at some of the indigenous communities. where they are, in fact, a community, and they sort of share the parenting around, and maybe there's, I don't know about you know, who's. Oh well, I think you've got like
I think the most examples that we have is where the man is dominant, where he's had multiple partners, which is kind of shitty. I mean, I'm not saying shitty, but I'm saying that's like the only example. We don't have a whole lot of examples where the woman is able to have multiple partners without being seen as something derogatory.
Actually, almost every prehistory society, it's pretty egalitarian. There's a lot of tribes where they, I mean, even today, like it starts with an H, and I don't remember how to pronounce it. One of the tribes they studied in the Amazon was where basically the women had sex with everybody, and the whole village just raised all the children as their own.
That sounds kind of awesome.
I forget how. If I remember correctly, how it was set up, the men would go out and hunt, and then the women would have sex with whoever came back with food. Well, what the men would do is whenever they'd kill something, everyone would take a piece.
But it kind of worked out in that era of time as a community, right?
Yeah, and there's been some evidence to show that was like that over most of the world at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it persists for a period of time, then it's got to be working out. Otherwise, they ditch it and try something else.
And there's been shown that there was a steady movement to male-dominated or male-controlled in society when property started becoming a thing. 'Cause property, when you worry about property, you worry about who gets the property.
That's
you want to make sure.
surprising.
Yeah, you want to make sure your property goes to your children. And so the men dominated the women, so they knew who the children were.
And that's actually not surprising, considering that physically wise, men are in a position where they're in a better position than women to protect things. So when it comes to like property rights, property issues, of course a man is in a better position to protect than a woman is when it comes to property.
Yeah,
if you guys know what I mean. So
it doesn't help that the female spends, half of her adult life, if not more, pregnant. So, in that stage.
Well,
that's
why I got fixed, damn it, because I had 3 kids back to back. My kids are 12, 11, and 10 years old.
Yeah, imagine doing that from like the age of 12 to the age of 28 when you died.
Well, the thing is though, with me, they were C-section, every single one of them. From the first, the reason why the last two was because the first one was. So eliminate medical issues. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that back then they wouldn't have even had that procedure going on. So who knows what issues the woman would have had bodily to go through some shit like that. I mean, I can't even imagine I've had 3 kids. I can't even imagine like my grandma. My grandma had 12. I can't even imagine some shit.
Jeez.
Like that. Yeah. I can't imagine some shit like that. I don't even know. I don't understand how a woman's body can even go through something like that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, now just imagine having 20. Or, at least
it only goes to show how amazing the human body is, because we are capable of that shit.
There's got to be like taffy down there.
Come on. No, it's not just like taffy, because a lot of these women rip.
I'm joking.
Most of the time they do. Mine were C-sections.
Yeah.
Gratefully.
Yeah, actually, you have the same story as my mother. She had three boys, and all 3 of us, we were C-section, and she got herself fixed, so to speak. After that, it's crazy.
3 is all I need. I got my little girl. I had 2 boys from the start, and then I got my little girl, and I said, "That's it. Fix me. I don't want no more. And especially with as much as I was fucking and popping out kids, yeah. And the fertility in our families. I know that sounds well, to judgmental people that sounds horrible, but
I like the phrase "popping out kids." I always think of popcorn.
I was popping them out. I mean, and he had my grandma had 12 kids. His mother or his grandma had 14 kids. So fertility ran in the family. Mm-hmm. And after having a 12, 11, and 10-year-old, okay, yeah, I need to get fixed or I'm going to end up popping out 10 kids in 10 years.
Jeez.
So, do you ever like ask your grandparents about that and have your grandmother just kind of get the shivers?
That's kind of like asking your granddad when's the last time he had any, and just like kind of hard set to stand up.
I mean, like 12 kids would like that. You probably get like PTSD.
Oh God. It's not like they went through war. Like.
I don't know, but imagine that, like 12 years being pregnant.
Yeah, true. I suppose, man. I mean, I can't argue that. No, I'm a guy.
Service, I like the comment about the property, and that's really interesting because you look at the royal clans and the Rothschilds and those sort of dudes, and they really did make some strange decisions about inbreeding just to keep it all probably aligned to property. Probably.
Well, see, there's two things with that. First, there's been some people say it's evidence. There's been some paintings and some ceremonial sites that kind of show that before property became an idea, the family, if people kept track of whose child was what, it was always traced through the woman and not the man.
Well, how else would it be?
Instead of how we do it now.
Traced. To be honest with you, honestly, how else would it be traced? Okay, yeah. If a woman has multiple partners, it's going to be traced through the woman. The woman's going to be the only one to give birth to the actual child.
Yeah, but the marriage institution changes that, doesn't it? Because then you've got a father and it's documented, and then the inheritance goes through the father.
Yeah, but that's when the property comes into play.
Right, and the name gets passed on and everything. Do you guys, y'all know about the whole duck, right? Duck's sexuality. Do you know the girl? I'm bringing this up for a purpose. Okay. Do you know the female duck? Okay, she ends up getting raped by the male ducks, but she does find a particular interest in a certain duck that she finds particular interest in, and she allows him to have her, okay? But after he has her, that's when she ends up getting raped by other ducks. The cool thing is, though, I mean, it's not cool to get raped, but the cool thing is that biologically her body fights off the other duck's sperm. Like it somehow, I can't put it into words the way that this gentleman described it that I was watching on this video, but somehow her biological body shuts off and rejects the sperm of the other ducks that rape her, which to me I find interesting because she's basically making a choice for a certain duck and his certain sperm to enter her and create these breeds and these children or these offspring.
Oh, maybe that's what those Republican people got confused.
I've also
they were thinking of ducks.
I've also heard that the reason why women scream, now this is just hearsay, okay, because I've heard the reason why women are loud and scream in bed, which they do, because I know I'm a screamer. Anyways, the reason they do that shit...
Wait. Tell me more about the screaming.
Okay, anyways, the reason they do that shit is because it was an indication to let other males know in the vicinity that they were I can't even say it now. ovulating, yes, and that they were ready to reproduce. So, in an evolutionary aspect, the woman would make sounds to let other males know, because it gave more odds that she would reproduce, the more males that she had. So she would make those sounds so that she would have more mates.
Well, it certainly got Alex going, so.
Yeah, I was I was just pondering more about that. It's a very interesting
Yeah, look it up. It's just hearsay, like you said. I haven't looked into the studies of it or anything, but it would be interesting to know. I mean, it makes sense to me. Like, now it's evolved to this point to where we scream out. For one, it's a release. It's a great release of pleasure to just yell it out. But it would make sense that it derived from evolution to a point where we were trying to let other males know, hello, we're in season for you to freaking impregnate us. Come on. It would make sense in that aspect.
I just like how you said that. That was kind of cute. That was funny. Now we have to like make a cartoon and like have that excerpt. Like read it. I'm sorry, it was just funny how you said that.
She said in season, and my mind immediately went to like deer hunting.
Well, it's pretty crappy. Like the whole slut slamming thing and shit. To me, I fucking hate that shit. I really do.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, okay, so women get slut slammed and men get called a pimp. What the fuck is up with that shit?
I never agree with that. Ever since high school, I was a dirty whore.
You were a dirty male whore, and you got called a
dirty
pimp.
slut. My friends was, oh man, oh my god, he messed with, oh my god, I almost said this girl's name on. I'm not gonna say her name. Oh, he got with, I call her T. He got with T. Oh my god, you such a pimp. And I was like, nah, fam. How come she's not a pimp? Because she slept with the whole school, man. But I'm the pimp because I slept with the whole school. I don't get it.
But look, if women are careful in what they do, then why the fuck do people feel the need to judge them for being sexually liberated? I don't understand it.
It goes back to societies based off that property thing. It's the way it's set up. Women's sexuality is supposed to be owned.
Yeah,
you can't you can't actually own a man's sexuality in society.
That's why I don't like the whole relationship that society has established. Thank you for saying that. One person understands me.
That's why I only go after bodybuilding chicks, because they get to own me a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
Bodybuilding chicks.
Those nice muscle.
Well, if you must know, I do have muscles in places at my upper body.
Tits.
That a lot of women, I can bounce my tits, yes, but a lot of women don't necessarily have. My kid's father actually used to degrade me for it. Like, he used to try to make me feel bad for it, and I was like, fuck you. But he did try to make me feel bad for that shit. Women are supposed to look like that, you know.
It's all good. I can bounce my tits too. It's okay.
Well, my dad, he used to box and shit, so he still lifts weights to this day, and he's in his 60s, and he has a boxing bag in his garage. Sure. So I used to lift weights with my dad, even as a young girl. So I built muscles as a little bitty girl. I built muscles in certain parts of my body, like right under the underarms, that area. In the chest, under the underarms, and in the neck, I have that neck muscles.
Hold on, wait. Before you continue, I have to go get some water. Be right back. I'm gonna mute myself now. Sure, 1 second.
Yeah, get that water, mate.
And in My biceps, like on the back of my arm. Not a lot of females have the back muscle on their biceps.
Yeah.
No,
Eve, I think you got a fan.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, the stronger the woman is, the rougher we can play. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's like WrestleMania, man. You gotta get it like that. You gotta.
I don't want to say her name, but sometimes I feel like I'm gonna break my girlfriend because she's not very muscly.
Oh yeah, you gotta tell her to lift some weights, do some push-ups or something. Tell her to do some push-ups. That's
No,
all you
you don't. No, you don't tell her that. Alex, shut the fuck up. Are you trying to rate his relationship
You're
here?
fat. You need to do some sit-ups.
What the fuck is that? No, you let her be her and love her for who she is.
Oh no, I do.
Oh, God. People who's watching, it's all jokes. All right, folks.
Yeah, sure, Alex.
Like, no, name one guy.
Your preference doesn't apply to everyone.
I'm joking, of course, but no, I was just gonna say, what guy has ever like about to be with a woman and say, wait, before we do this, you look kind of scrawny. I'm gonna need you to do about 20.
Yeah, and if a guy said that, the girl should be like, you know what? Fuck you. Go fuck off. Go jack yourself off, bitch.
He's sitting there like every time.
I'll be the first to admit I'm overweight. I'm not this slender fucking anorexic supermodel chick on these magazines.
Wouldn't have you any other way, Eve.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm pretty sure if you have 3 kids and you're not at least a little bit overweight afterwards, you're doing it wrong.
Well, actually, after I had my 3 kids, I lost 63 pounds. But then,
nice.
I went through a phase where I believed in the last days, and I ended up getting like depressed and shit. And I gained every bit of that back. Like, well, not every bit of it. I gained about 40 of that back. So I'm about 40 pounds overweight.
Goddamn Jesus, making Eve gain 40 pounds.
Yeah, fuck Jesus.
Oh, I was going to thank him for that. Well, what the hell are you talking about?
It's the Romans.
Yeah, see, some men like it, like Alex said. You know?
If you had to thank Jesus for anything, that would be it.
The meat. He likes the meat.
What do you do with a big fat butt? Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. God, I love that song.
Well, I mean, we gotta admit though, the United States, okay, America at least, and probably Britain and Paris, a couple other places, are making this image of women in the media, where they have to be this scrawny chick. And some of it's even anorexic chicks. I mean, a lot of these supermodels are actually anorexic or bulimic.
Mm-hmm.
They have eating disorder problems. And they're making this shit appealing to the public. And the public is seeing the shit. And especially, like, young guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, young guys are being influenced by this shit. And then they have this certain persona of this perfectionate woman that they have in their head that'll never be satisfied and never be fulfilled because they have a fantasy there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a realistic fantasy. And, I mean, you can always have fantasies, and you can always keep those fantasies, but you have to be able to distinguish what is a real fantasy, what is realistic, and what is not.
Now, see, I never had that problem. Okay, more specifically porn. Porn's never made me get an unrealistic view of women, but it's made me really kinky.
But how's it, have you ever looked at a porn and thought, okay, because me being a woman, like, and that's why I'm kind of attracted to lesbian porn, to be honest with you, because a lot of the
Wait, I'm gonna get some more water. Hold on.
a lot of the porn involving just a woman and a man, the woman, to me, I could tell is not satisfied. Like, I can tell she is acting, and that makes a big, huge difference to me. If I can tell she's acting, then it doesn't turn me on, not one bit. Well, I'm not gonna say not one bit.
Can I tell you one story about that?
Go ahead.
Okay, so in my very short career in that industry, there was one particular person that she definitely was acting because she's just, I don't know, it took a big shot to my ego, as you can imagine. And I was like, I cannot believe like she wasn't really enjoying this. I mean, but I think she might have been. She wasn't like a veteran or anything like that, but just it was mechanical to her, and she really didn't just enjoy it. She was all about the paycheck at the end of it, as most of them are. But yeah, I it's worse off when you're watching it that you get that sense, but it's worse when you're actually involved, and it's like, okay, this sucks, like.
Yeah, I can't imagine how it would be to be involved and to know that the partner is not really enjoying the shit. They're actually just kind of.
Yeah, I was in there. We're in there shooting. I seen a dude over there eating a ham sandwich. I was more interested in the ham sandwich. Like, I wanted to stop and start eating.
Yeah. Yeah, if that's the case, then fuck that industry. I don't even know how people get in that industry.
It is not glamorous whatsoever.
Don't diminish sexuality. No.
That's what happens when you make something you like into work.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah.
In some cases, but in that particular case, all I experienced was it was exhausting. It was demanding. Although they pay well, and some would like to believe that.
Oh, I'm sure they pay well.
They pay okay, and even more so when they.
But it's the same. Well, it's the same with a kind of stripper status. Like I would not be a stripper, and it's not. I'm not demeaning strippers. Like, I understand reasons why they may take up that profession. The money. Maybe even the attention they like or whatever. At the same time, if it results to where it's not as exciting, like to me, if it's not as exciting, if it gets to the point where it's just a normal thing, and it's not as exciting to just drop your shit right in front of somebody or drop your clothes right in front of somebody, then what's the fucking point? Fuck that. I actually like the mystery. I like the excitement. So I'm gonna keep that shit to myself unless you're in my bedroom.
So you like glory holes or something like that, or I don't know.
I like to be in control of it, Alex.
No, I'm sorry.
And if you're making an industry, if you're making a career out of it, you're actually not in control of it. You're letting your boss, you're letting other people be in control of it. You're letting your client be in control of it. No.
Well, it's a definite clear case of money control in that, in that industry, because, good God, man, like if you wasn't able to pop on.
That's one thing that is mine. Yeah. I can even my children aren't mine. They're their own individuals. They're who they are. I don't own them.
Right.
But my body, who I am, I own. That's me. That's one thing I have absolute control over. So why wouldn't I want to use it to an advantage of being mysterious, being adventurous? Why wouldn't I want to fucking use it that way?
Right.
Fuck yeah, I would.
Definitely. God, I can use another joint right now.
Keep up the code, Alex, and
and I'm sorry, I'm not saying this to demean strippers. Thank God for fucking strippers. Thank Thank the world for fucking pornos. That's all I'm saying.
You're here.
Yes, indeed.
Right. For me, folks, it's been delightful and enlightening. So thanks for the session. I'm off now, so have a good day.
Bye, Rob.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for talking to us. I know we kind of took over with our sexual talk.
I'm sorry.
I don't mind it because it explores some interesting questions about, because, yeah, I don't think that society lives the right sexual model, and it's because of, the wrong reasons. So,
Yeah.
Interesting. Bye.
It's great to get other people's perspective. Huh?
Yeah.
It is indeed, exactly.
Well, thanks for having a chat with us.
This might be weird, but I actually prefer rather than porn itself. I mean, I do enjoy porn, but I think the magazines I prefer because I feel like actual porn is myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've heard some people say that. I mean, I do get that too because there's some instances where I'd rather, give me a nice edition of Hustler and look at some.
Yeah.
You guys think that watching too much porn can desensitize?
Oh, there's no such thing as too much porn. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, actually, it has happened to me.
With some people, it may not be with everybody.
Well,
No.
I remember the first time when I was growing up in high school. This was like whenever the internet age was like just taken every it's like when it became normal. This is like when everybody was starting keeping their heads down, looking at the phone all the time. So I remember I would watch porn first, and then I would always I always do my thing. And I remember the first time I had sex. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but it was nothing like
it was a letdown.
It was, yeah, but then I realized, okay, well, my first time isn't gonna be the best.
No, the first time should actually be the best. Actually, you would think it would be.
Well, because I had sex with another virgin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not like she knew it. Yeah. The second time, whenever I had sex with a and I kind of knew what was going on, then that was great. That was probably yeah, that was amazing. But to be honest, the best sex for me is with the woman you love.
With someone you care about. We was talking about that earlier. If you have a connection, then it's a lot better than if you don't have a connection.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't want to go too much into that. But yeah, I feel like porn can give you fantasies. You know what I mean? It gives you something that it just sets a standard.
It does set a standard, but I think people should realize that it is not reality. It's like I was stating earlier. There's a lot of girls on there that I can read their facial expressions. I can tell that they're not being, they're not enjoying the shit. They're just doing it purely for the money. That's it.
But it was
which is a total turnoff. I mean.
Yeah, of course. But what I do know is that the only time my expectations were they were not just made, it went over my expectations is when I first connected with somebody. With we felt we were all, me and her were just one. And I got lost in her, she got lost in me, and that's when it felt. That's when it was magic. That was way better than
we were talking about that earlier. The connection with other people make sexuality so much better than just getting off just to get off.
Yeah.
My first time was just tragic.
Really? Yeah.
My first time was fucking hilarious. I ended up having my cat jumped on his back and scratched the shit out of his back. Yeah.
Mine was in the movie theater, and I'm trying to remember what movie that was playing, but it was pretty much abandoned at that point. And I was distracted because I wanted to see what was going on in the movie, and then and also get this exciting thing that's about to happen. Ended up finishing like after 40 seconds, and I mean I was like, thank goodness I barely had the condom on right, and it was ridiculous. It was messy. It was just messy. That's what it was.
Well,
I remember words like kept haunting me after like I was done like my first time. She's like, "You're done."
Oh, that's the worst.
well, if that's the case, then you can always go down and lick the bitch. Okay.
What I did was I don't like to leave. Like I don't do that thing where it's like I only serve myself unless if it's
right, and you shouldn't. That's a great concept to have.
So, like, I mean, yeah, I did that, but that yeah, like a minute, like I lasted.
Yeah, you
haven't. Well, then I'm sorry, you suck.
I was a virgin. I didn't fucking know.
Yeah, it's always going to be like that.
But wait, what do you mean you only lasted? Are you saying going down on her? You only lasted a minute?
Like
no, finishing.
Like no, what are you talking about? When I was like eating her out, like, are you talking about like when I? Oh, I mean, yeah, like minute, 2 minutes. I couldn't keep it all in for the. Like I thought I was gonna be like this.
Okay, here's what you do. Okay, let me tell you what you do. All right, this is what you do. You go down on the girl a little bit, even if you don't like it. Fucking suck it up, bitch. Go down on her a little bit. Stick it in, and then when you know you're gonna come, you know you're gonna come. You already know when it's getting to the intensity of where you're about to fucking explode.
Not when you're a virgin.
When you know that shit, that's when you gotta learn to be able to get into the concept of being able to control yourself. Okay,
Yeah,
when you know that you're gonna get to that point, pull out and go down on the girl again, and go down on her. Go down on her.
That sounds easy. Like when you're a virgin, it's tougher than it sounds. So like.
It is. You go quickly when you're a virgin, don't you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This was like all when I was a virgin. I didn't know I thought I was gonna
learn from this shit. Hey, I'm trying to play Miss Dr. Phil here.
Yeah, I got you. All the help I can take.
Dr. Feel good. Dr. Feel good over there.
Oh, when you feel like you're going to explode and the woman hasn't gone yet, because look, women can have multiple orgasms. So at least make sure you get her off at least once.
Yeah, I was like, you need a ride or something? Because after that, I was like, yeah, you should probably call a ride or something because we're done here. Oh, well, finish the movie first, then you get it right, I'm trying to remember what the hell movie that was, though.
Oh, that's pretty sad, Alex. Seriously, if it would have been me, I would have been asking for the ride, and you would have been like, no, stay here. I'm just
man. God, I'm trying to remember what fucking movie was that. Oh, man.
You know what?
I don't know why that's important to me right now.
You know what's weird? One time, like, after me and this one girl got done, this was like my senior year. Like one time, I was in the bed and then she was dressing, and then I just happened to look at her, and then she's like, "What are you doing? That's weird. Stop looking at me." I'm like, "Bitch, I was just inside of you."
Well, if that was just a projection, she felt uncomfortable with herself. I don't know.
Yeah, unless like okay, like I get it if it looked like I was like just doing like a creeper stare, like doing that
You
shit.
should have fucking yanked her ass down and be like, nah, bitch, I'm gonna take your ass again. She might would have liked that. If she didn't, she would have told you no, and you could have just backed off.
I want to do it again.
But you could have tried it. You said, honey.
Oh, man. Oh, dude. I'm really stumped on this movie. I don't know why that's so important to me.
I don't know.
I almost said
We have turned, what's his name, Reuven? Reuven. We've turned Reuven's Hangout into, like, the sex chat with Alex and Eve.
Oh no, John May. Oh no.
John.
What do you want to talk about?
Sex.
Drugs.
What do you want to know about it?
Rock and roll.
Yetis.
I'm up for it. I'm up for it.
Yeah.
People dumbass believe.
Hey, all right, wait.
You fucking started again.
Have any of you guys had sex like with someone that was considered forbidden, like not necessarily like a guy doing a guy, because that's not really forbidden anymore, but like let's say like the
president's wife or something, or the president's daughter.
You could be sucking the president's dick. I don't know, but it was like it could have been like your parents hated this. Your parents hated your name. They had a hot ass daughter, and then you just
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was the neighbors for me, because I was neighbor to this chick who was considered like the high school slut, I guess. Just the whole slut shaming thing.
And I bet she rocked your world.
Yeah, she did, and let me tell you, fantastic job, babe. I gotta tell you. Oh man, but yeah, it was like
the ones that are called a slut are usually called that because they get jealousy from other girls because they know how to rock people's shit.
Yeah, basically.
Her friends were pretty jealous.
Yeah. I know. I'm sitting here thinking.
Some of them do people wrong. Some girls fuck other girls over, and that's why they get called that. But a lot of times it's just because the girl's jealous because they've heard that they're good in bed.
Because they've had more fucks than their friends.
Mm-hmm.
Movie that was okay.
Jurassic Park.
Jeez, I'm not that old, man. I believe this was Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter or something.
Really, Harry Potter?
Oh, really?
Of course she wanted to see it. I didn't want to see the freaking movie. I don't even remember the movie.
Hey, Heath in the chat box here says he has a lot to say, but this is hilarious. So, what do you have to say, Heath?
Yeah.
Oh no, he left. He said he didn't have a lot to say, but it was hilarious.
Okay, he did leave. Okay.
I was gonna say, are we gonna pause and actually wait till we finish this sentence or something?
I don't know. I just wanted to get. I mean, me and you've kind of overtaken the.
We need a podcast, Steve. We need a podcast, and we need guests.
Sex Alexander.
We have we have credentials like I was in porn. You have 3 kids. I mean, it works out perfectly.
Well, you don't have to feel bad. Really, the only person that's normally in here that talks is me.
Yeah, right. I mean, I've been in here in whatever y'all call him, Reuven's Hangout, twice already, and it was Rob who was talking the entire time, and I was like, "Is this?"
Yeah, that's the rules. Yeah, that's the rules. You get.
Oh no, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like everyone that's usually in here that talks, they're almost all gone.
Yeah, when Rob gets in.
When Rob gets in. Hey Heath, we were just talking about you. You said that you had a lot to say, but it was hilarious, and you left. So, what do you have to say? I left your little voice, your little photo there. You seem like you have some enthusiastic nature about you there.
You talking about me?
Yeah. Look at you. You're like, yeah.
I couldn't stay away. There's no one else on, man. I can't sleep. I got insomnia.
That's a badass mohawk, though, man.
Oh, thanks, man. This is what happens when you can't sleep at 4 a.m. 2 days ago and you decide to cut your hair.
Nice.
I mean, if you're looking to be upset or throw up, you can go to Nephilim Freeze Hangout.
Oh.
Who's that?
I got invited to that hangout, but the thing is I really okay. I've only been an atheist for a little over 6 months. I don't know a whole lot about evolution. Christianity kind of kept me from that. So here's the thing: I don't know how to argue evolution, and at the same point in Neff's hangout, I wouldn't even get the chance to argue it anyway. So it's like, okay, what's the fucking point?
I would love to change Neff's hangout into a sex talk and see how he handles that.
Oh.
You have to do the announcement for
like invite some like very fundamentalist Christian and then
Well, hey,
oh
Alex,
my
do you
God.
want to try to go rate it?
Rate is oh my God, is it going on right now?
I think so. Hold on.
Oh man, if we
Okay.
can get into this hangout, you guys might have to stay tuned.
You have to do it. You have to do it first, though, Alex, because you know what they're gonna deem me as.
Everybody's got
So I would
gifts.
have to start it first.
Okay, hold on.
I have no problem doing that.
oh, but
Yeah, he's still going. He's still going. He has 7 people in there, I think.
Oh, it's no good. There's not enough room.
Bullshit. There's not enough room. That's safe.
If
I mean-
only three people can get in. If you had 50-50,
You guys
You wanna
hang
go?
around and watch it and talk about how me and Alex corrupt the shit.
Yeah, we have to go on that.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try to go in it.
Uh-huh.
I'll be back.
I will place a bet that by the time you get a chance to talk, like the 10th word out of your mouth, you're going to be out of the room.
I'm sure it will, but I'm gonna see how much I can fuck this shit over. Okay.
I'm gonna give it a go too.
And yes, this is live right now, so I will admit that I'm going to troll right now. Okay.
Yes.
hey, okay.
And right at when she comes back, I'm gonna leave and try my hand at trolling.
Yeah.
I'm gonna first step in there and I'm gonna say, I'm gonna pretend to be Christian and I'm gonna say, praise the Lord, everyone. First and foremost, I would like to kind of talk to you, Neff, because I've been watching you for a while. Kind of been my inspiration. And just kind of let his guards down, and then just go right into like 50 Shades of Grey. Just just go right into it and see how long it lasts.
It's like,
So
all
you
right,
and
Alex.
sister have I'll go ahead, Sappho. Sorry.
It's like, all right, Alexander, what do you have to say? Sorry.
No, I was just saying that right after that, see how long it takes until I get kicked out. I'm
pretending to be the moderator. He'd be like, all right, Alexander, you seem to be of Christian faith. What do you have to say? And he'd be like,
Holy shit, Reuven went in there.
Oh, nice.
He opened it up in another browser, I guess.
oh, yo, but like I was saying about like that forbidden thing.
Yeah.
I actually like my school had this tech like this I guess he was like the computer he called himself the lab scientist. He's like all he did was computers, you know what I mean? Like the computer lab scientist. Well, I don't even know. He didn't like me. So then he decided he lives 3 doors down from me and he has this this freshman daughter. And I was a junior, and then she wasn't, she wasn't drop dead hot. Like she wasn't like that. But I remember one night she came over at my house. They were having dinner with my family because my mom thought, let's have, you're the teacher you hate. Let's have him over just so he can get a good grade. And I'm like, all right, whatever. But his daughter came, and then we talked before, and then we fucked right in the bed, right over, like, and my bed was literally right over where my room. We had a 2-story house, and then like my room was right over the living room, and that's where he was sitting. And then all I could think about was, holy shit, I did the science teacher's daughter, whatever. Right over him.
That's an accomplishment right there.
The scientist.
I don't know. I was like this close to bagging Mayor Right. Oh, I probably shouldn't. Well, it's not like he's gonna watch this anyway. I was like this close to bagging Mayor Ryback's daughter. Here in Minneapolis.
Damn. Okay.
This close. I mean, my stuff was proper, man. And then she actually had to like go back to school and stuff during the time. I was like, damn, man. All I needed was just one invite and doing a little drinking or something. And I mean, she smoked weed and everything, and it was just awesome.
That's just so hilarious. Like, see them conservative girls, like like those girls who come from like conservative families, and then like they're out running over there doing like doing weed and like pop mollies and shit. Like like the ones that come from that like very Republican dad. Like, oh, my princess will never do that shit. But
right. I'm sorry, Mr. Rabbit, but your daughter. She's a beast in a sack. I'm sorry. I didn't say it like that. Sorry.
I feel bad for like Obama.
You know his daughters are just gonna grow up and be hot.
Dude, like
I'm waiting about 10 more years, and then I'm moving back to Chicago.
She's like 16. She's gonna be 18 by the time they leave.
Oh,
yeah. Like she's gonna be like her older daughter, and she's like she's pretty. Like, you can't be, she like, so like I'm like saying, like, what if she invites some like dude from her school like after homecoming, and then like they're in the room and the president walks in mid, like, while he's inserting his
what the hell's going on here?
Like that.
Let me be clear. If you don't get out of here right now, I'm gonna call Joe, and he's gonna bring his shotgun.
He's gonna be like, now listen up. Let me be clear. If I catch you around here again, I will be busting caps and all sorts of asses.
Yeah.
Michelle Obama just like pulls out a knife and goes running into the room, swinging her arms around.
I bet you $2 Obama has like a Glock.
Dude, we're like talking about this live.
Yeah. Congratulations, we're on the NSA watch list. Whee!
Hey.
Obama probably has like this nice custom-made Glock and like a Desert Eagle.
Yeah, it's all like engraved. It says the Prez on the side of it.
The Prez has the eagle on it.
It has spinners.
It has a little spinner on it. And the gun itself is called the Prez. Yeah, it's like a shotgun called Jurisdiction.
Oh, dude. Oh, man, I thought it was something like darker. Like, imagine like whenever like his oldest daughter turns 18, and it's like Bill Clinton. Her and Bill Clinton, like, it's like, I knew y'all be back. I just wanted to find that.
Mr. Obama, your daughter's a freak. Your daughter's a freak.
Yo, bro, we're gonna.
Man, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it at all.
I couldn't help it at all. Yo, man, if one of us disappears, we know why. One of us. I want to see how that other one that they were talking about, that other hangout.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is live, so like.
My dream is to smoke weed with Bill Clinton and Snoop Dogg.
Oh yeah.
If that can happen, I can die happy.
Probably.
Cause I know Clinton is smoking weed, and I know he's doing it, especially living in Harlem. You know he lives in Harlem.
Yeah. Well, actually, they say Harlem's a lot better now. Like better than it was. You know what I mean? Like they have their sections that's like you can practically like live there and be like, you know what I mean? Like it's not. It's of course it ain't no fucking like Beverly Hills, but
Right. Yeah.
it's
Can
still
you
has.
imagine? Can you imagine Clinton like shopping at a bodega and like gets like a nickel sack of like Blue Dream or something? I don't know.
Bro, I can't. Like Bill Clinton was like the coolest president. Like I remember the first time. Like I didn't. Of course, I was too young for this, but like I looked him up on a video on YouTube because I heard one time, oh, he played the sax. He was like on Arsenio Hall show, and he was playing the sax with the band, and I was like, gee, what the?
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, that's a cool president. Like, I was thinking, like, if I ever become president, God help us all, but like, if I ever become president, I would be like I'd try to learn the guitar and shit. Like, I'd be trying to learn how to rap, or I'm trying to learn how to do something, so I'll be featured on the show, and then they'll be like, damn, that's a cool president. Like,
I would love for like, can you imagine like if Jay-Z became president and like he's still releasing albums and going on tours? That would be so complicated, but like, you know, he can do like the State of the Union and release his mixtape at the same time. It'd be awesome.
I feel like people would. I feel like I mean I don't think if he would ever do that, I don't know if he'd make it, but I feel like he would be in that the Democratic like
It's
convention.
like, yo, it's your boy Young Hova. I just had to address the Gaza Strip real quick. And then, like he's talking about this stuff. He's like, yeah, okay, and on that note, I'd just like to go ahead and release my next mixtape. Look out for it, July 4th. You know what I'm saying? This Independence Day. Holla at your boy, Hova. And like walks off, drops the mic.
He'd have like imagine the suits he'd wear. Like he'd make it all Gucci and shit. Like
Gucci suits, Armani and shit. Stacey Adams. It's like wearing some real fly shit. And not the same old president.
Like, he'd have like Air Yeezus with like his fucking red tie. He'd be like
he's like going free my nigga Gaddafi.
He'd be like, oh my
god. Holy shit! I left and it got all quiet. What's going on?
Nothing.
We were talking about you, Gary.
We were talking about President Hova.
I like, to be honest, like, yo, like, you can hate what you want when I say this. I like Jay-Z, but I like Nas better, like, rap-wise, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I love them both, man. I love like, how they, their style just, I mean, one of my favorite songs, I mean, well, not even just songs, my favorite, you know, feud in hip-hop, my favorite hip-hop feud was Nas and Jay-Z.
Oh, because that was, to be honest, like, that was like the rawest feud. Like, you can tell. Yeah. Like, you know, people be like, oh, no, Tupac and Biggie, they were, if you think about it, that was more like their gang versus their gang. Like,
well, it was more personal, and it wasn't really fun because it was more personal. But, well, I guess Nas and Jay-Z was also personal, but they also kept the foundation of, you know, hip-hop and approaching it hip-hop like. So, like, Jay-Z started it. Jay-Z started it first. He came out with the Takeover track, right? And he's releasing the Takeover on the Blueprint album. And he's just started dissing a bunch of rappers, including Nas. Like, he's dissing Mobb Deep. He's dissing Nas. He's dissing, who else he's dissed in that song? But, you know, he just really, he broke it down mathematically about Nas. And he was absolutely right about his album sales and, you know, like when he was like One was the other was Illmatic. That's one hot album, never 10-year average. Like he's breaking it down to every 10-year average of one good album that Nas makes.
Yeah,
That was phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, and I even told you some people said Ether was the best song, like best, between the few. But to be honest, like he said a lot of opinionated stuff. Like even though like he had big ass lips, but like he says a lot of more like stuff effective physically and try to it wasn't really based up on facts. Jay-Z, like it was more factual. And
well, you know what makes Ether more effective is the fact that Nas wasn't even a rapper that would diss other people. Like Nas has never dissed anyone until that fact. So it was kind of a shell shock,
It was the most impactful. I think it was the most vicious.
Oh yeah.
It was the most vicious one, I think. But I'm talking about
Nas had some facts in there too, though. When he was something. I am the truest. I am the truest. Name a rapper that I ain't influenced. It's like true. Rapper out there has not mentioned Nas as an influence. You know what I mean? And it's just like, well, that's just one small fact. But yeah, it was mostly personal. Kind of.
But let me tell you, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead, man.
You guys scared the white boy out of the room.
I'm white. I'm sorry if I talk weird, but I'm Cuban, but I'm still white. I don't know, man. I have different ways of talking. Like I talk like this a little bit, whenever we talk about different subjects. It's like I grew up in Miami, in the barrio neighborhood.
Yeah.
And this is subway. We don't, it looked weirder if I talked like I know how.
Wait, all I gotta say to you is I'm sorry. I don't like Miami.
Yeah, it's all good. Honestly, that's your opinion. I mean, I think Miami's cool. It's just the traffic is shit in Miami, and I know it goes probably more deep than that, but for you, that's just.
Well, no, actually, it's pretty shallow. I didn't get that much time to talk to people. I just don't like the. I don't really want to say cultural, but the buildings are kind of bland.
Yeah.
There isn't much color or architecture to most of Miami.
That is kind of shallow. All right. Well, he was right.
Just because of traffic, jeez, man. But yeah, Illmatic.
Oh
yeah. Best rap album of all time.
Oh yeah. You know what? One thing Jay-Z really said in the Takeover that I really agreed with him on, besides most of it, was the fact where he was like, and your bodyguard's Uchiwala verse was better than yours. In fact, you had the worst song in the whole fucking. Well, you had the worst flow in the whole fucking song. But I know the sun don't shine. The sun don't shine. That whole part when he was talking about, Nas came out with that Uchiwala song, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Nas had Braveheart artists, his rap group that he was trying to put out that didn't really do much. And one of the members of that group is Nas' real life bodyguard, whose verse was better than Nas in that song. And it was kind of sad. And when Jay-Z brought it up, I was like, oh, damn, that's kind of true.
Yeah.
Nas had the worst flow in that whole song. He really did.
Yeah, I mean, Nas is just a personal favorite. Some people when I name my top 10, I would put Andre 3K in there, and I put I would put there's just one rapper that's not he's known, but Big L. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Oh yeah, you cannot be a hip hop head without knowing Big L.
Yeah, he's the best freestyle rapper ever.
His most famous, his most famous line is right.
Was it It was okay. I'm gonna go off my favorite. He's like, ask Beavis, I get nothing but head. Like, was it that one, or was it?
That's one of his famous lines. But there's one particular famous line that a lot of people would bring up when they're talking about Big L.
Which one?
I want to know if you knew it.
At least tell me what song. What song was it from?
What was the name of that song? I don't think it was really a song. I think it was just a freestyle, actually.
What was most famous? Just tell
It's
me.
like, all I got for hoes is hard dick and bubble gum. That song.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. No, but like,
that was a 7-minute freestyle.
Yes. Okay. Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's like his most famous freestyle right there.
Bro, dude. that was hard. That was hard. No, but like, yeah, but I don't know. Just I remember. Do you think it was that one song? It was Big L. It was he was on. The song started off on the radio. I forgot what the song was. It was like 97 freestyle or 98 freestyle.
Oh, Hot 97 freestyle or something.
Yeah, like it was on the radio, but it went on his album. It was the one where I said, he's like, make your toast right and ask Beavis, I get nothing but head. I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
that's personal. I was like, I laughed whenever I heard it.
Yeah. If you like hip hop, man, you're gonna love my album when I finished it. I'm almost done, but I kind of took a back burner because I have an artist who I'm really investing a lot of time with, and I'm really behind this guy, and just the lyricism with him. I'm just in awe with how much he came from, because when I first met the guy, he was only doing it as just kind of something that he messed around with. And then I really kind of helped him hone his craft. And man, I haven't talked to him like a year. Just recently reconnected with him, and oh my God, has he crafted his? I mean, this guy.
What's it?
His name is Dante Pirtle. And with Dante, I cannot wait to. I've heard a few songs, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, you are full on rapper right now. It's kind of like Eve. Eve doesn't really rap, but the songs that she's put out, it's a full-fledged rap song, and it's actually good. And you would think she'd been rapping for at least some time now. I mean, she makes it seem like she never rapped, but it's like, no, you've had some experience in this.
Yeah.
And she has such a perfect rap name too, Eve Real.
Yeah.
But Dante, man, I signed him pretty much after everything got popping, and man, but my stuff is on the back burner. Well, you can listen to Preacher is a Liar, my G-Man disc.
G-Man. I don't know, man. What happened, to rap?
I don't know, man.
I heard. Sorry, the best interpretation, the best person, who explained it, the funniest way. His name is MK. He's saying he has videos on YouTube. He has this thing. He's like, rap ain't dead. It was just beaten to a pulp with a coma until it got to a coma, and the nurse snuck up on it and tried to stuff his face, try to put it out of his misery with a pillow. But then she was like, "Oh shit, I can't do it." So then she took off the pillow, and now it's that. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's true." And then I'm like, "What?" And he's like, the artist that put the thing that put his the nurse that the nurse that put his no. The people who put him in a coma were the bad rappers, and the nurse that tried to stuff him with a pillow were the people who kept buying those albums from the bad rappers. I'm like, yeah, shit.
You're exactly right, man. I'm almost like a self-hating rapper over here, because you can have bad rap. I don't know what happened in the mindset of hip hop heads that thought Soulja Boy and Gucci Mane and all these people appealing because I hated it from the get-go. And I've always told myself if I ever get back to that point of being recognized or whatever with my music, I would make it apparent that I didn't like Soulja Boy, and he would be the first person I ever get into a back and forth lyrically with, because not only would I put him to shame, I will be relentless. Like I would be relentless, like he did something personally to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, dude. Well, it's kind of personal because he almost ruined like if people when people like he almost ruined the music that we all love.
Right. He's like the E.T. of hip hop. E.T. was a video. You know, everybody know E.T. the movie, and how Atari tried to make E.T. the video game.
Oh no.
Soulja Boy is the E.T. video game of hip hop. He almost ruined it until we buried him in New Mexico. You know, like.
Are you gonna see that movie?
See what?
Dude.
Oh, you don't. Do you know about the Angry Video Game Nerd?
Yes. Yeah, I know about that.
The angry video game nerd.
Yeah.
He's got a movie coming out about that.
No way.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's a known, fact that the ET video game nearly destroyed video game. Period. Nearly destroyed the industry. But yeah, that's the best way I can put it. With Soulja Boy, he is almost single-handedly the reason why hip hop imploded on itself.
People,
huh?
A lot of people say Lil Wayne, but the thing about Lil Wayne is that he actually made some good. Like I remember the Carter 3. I like the Carter 3. That was good. I digged it. Like thing is that he started getting, I don't know, a little bit lazy. Like he started spewing. He started spewing shit. Like he started spewing albums just to sell, like rather.
Yeah, I mean, with Lil Wayne, it's kind of obvious he doesn't write his own lyrics, and no, he doesn't freestyle a damn thing. And I'm tired of people. Every time I say that he doesn't write his lyrics, people always retort with, "Yeah, because he freestyles." No, he does not. He doesn't write a thing. He doesn't freestyle. His freestyles, quote unquote, are written, and those are written by other people. Lil Wayne has never been an original rapper. He's always had a writer, and I know at least two of them that used to write for the guy. One of them goes by the name of Gilly the Kid. He's from Philadelphia. The other one goes by Red Cafe. He is now signed with Diddy. You know, Red Cafe has been a writer for years. You know, Lil Wayne is so unoriginal that it's more about his image that's more popular than his actual talent, which in fact he has none. So like I don't hate his music or anything like that, but I'm not a big fan of it. There's some songs I really can gem with, but I always get to wondering who is it really that penned this for him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, but like I remember the first album where I just turned me off from Lil Wayne, or at least it started the thing, because I remember I listened to the Carter 4. That was like the last album I ever listened to of him. Rebirth was his first album where I was just like, man, this is crap. Like, what the hell is he doing, man?
Is that the Block is Hot, the one with that song on it?
No. I think it was his album where he tried to infuse rap and rock together.
Oh yeah, that was trash. That wasn't even a rock album. That was just more Lil Wayne rap.
Yeah, it's just like, he included guitar in it, but it wasn't like.
Yeah. And then the fucking Rolling Stone put him on the cover. I was like, are you crazy? What's wrong with you people putting this asshole on the cover of Rolling Stone? This is prestigious right here. You don't put Lil Wayne on there. That jungle monkey. No, just.
Okay. I'm going to try not to come off super white right now. And I'm going to ask, what do you guys think about Immortal Technique?
Well, I think he's dope, but a lot of his, I think he's brilliant, but a lot of his subject matter I can't really agree with. But there's some stuff he says where I'm like, yes, 100% behind him. You know what I mean?
like it's the way he presents it too. Like it's just he's good at it. It's just
Yeah.
and not like if you're talking like if how I feel about him, like how I feel, how I am with his opinions, then yeah, like I'm kind of with Alex on that. Like some of his opinions aren't that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he does it in a way that you're just like, okay, well, I don't understand. I can understand why he thinks like that. I just don't think like that because
Like one of my favorite songs by him, and I don't even entirely agree with him. Well, I don't agree with him at all because he's kind of a 9/11 truther type guy. But like the song Bush Knocked Down the Towers, when he's like, it was him and Mos Def, which I love Mos Def, by the way. But he's like, Bin Laden didn't knock down the towers. It was you, nigga. Tell the truth, nigga. Bush knocked down the towers. It was you, nigga. Like, I love that song. It's so awesome to me. But it was just, I'm like, okay, he's a truther, but, it's still good. It's a great song. I mean,
Okay. I think my favorite song is Point of No Return.
I think I might have heard that one.
That was a good song. I like that song. Oh, yo, okay, wait. First of all, like, I just want to bring back. Remember that 9/11 truther in the Super Bowl?
In the Super Bowl?
Dude, it was like afterwards. I think like there's a video. I just looked him up. 9/11 truther Super Bowl interview. I think he stole the mic from he stole the mic from the MVP player.
Oh my God! Someone got that close.
Yo, like he's like, oh my God, or it could have been a reporter. Like it could have been one of the guys, people asking questions, but it was there. It was like, I was just like looking at the TV. I'm like, that just fucking happened. Like it's like if a streaker ran in the football field.
Well, I tell you what's worse than that. Years ago, during the Super Bowl, after the commercials came on, after the commercial run, there was at least a 5-minute block of an Evan Stone porn that was played randomly in the middle of the broadcast, and then the football game popped back on. How and why that happened is still unknown, but it did happen, and you can even find a clip of that on YouTube. I kid you not. And it's ridiculous, and it was. I don't know how that even happened because I was in here mentioning earlier, like I was in that industry, a time ago, and it's not like they share the same, TV signals. It really isn't like that. I don't even know how, you know what I mean? Like I don't even know how that even happened, but something tells me it was on purpose. I don't know. But I kid you not, it's on YouTube. There's like a moment of an Evan Stone porn playing.
Was it like after they scored the touchdown, or was it like?
I don't remember. I think it was after the commercials, and then right before the game popped back on. You just see an interruption, and then boom, as Evan Stone and some chick.
Was she like rubbing his cock?
Oh, she was blowing, man.
Wow! Oh my God.
On TV, man. On TV, like live at the time,
I'm looking at it right now. It's hilarious.
You watching it now?
Oh, was this Steelers and Cardinals?
Yeah. Was that the game?
Yeah. Man, it was in Arizona. Or nah, it could have been. Oh, jeez.
Isn't that messed up? And that's so funny. Like, again, it's not like they share the same stations. I don't even know how that mix up could even happen. You know what I mean?
Fox After Hours.
Right.
Like, damn, bro. Dude,
it's the funniest thing. I'm like, someone had to have played a practical prank or something. That had to have been a joke because there's no way that could have possibly happened.
Yeah.
And it's not even sure if that was a recording, that showed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or if it was happening live.
It was the Illuminati. putting some fucking porn. That's how the media gets you.
Right.
Well, like stuff like that. Like I feel like, not like it's a joke, but like, what if like that was like trying to be like one of those like subliminal messages? They couldn't do it too well, and like they tried to put that shit in well, and she couldn't, and fucking.
Well, you know, I used to be one of those type of Christians that was all about conspiracy theories and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, I was all up, especially about hip hop. I was all about how hip hop was demonic and whatnot, and the hand signs and stuff, until I actually got in the industry and realized that half of those symbols that they're doing is probably the most harmless thing you can ever imagine. And it's the silliest thing that people take and inflate and making it something that is really not.
Well, like, let me tell you, like one person said, the reason why Jay-Z does that is to make himself look interesting, like, or more interesting. The thing is that if you look back in history, the Illuminati were actually people who were trying to preserve knowledge. They were actually they were a group that worked more for the people. So doing some group like let me tell you something. I do believe in shit like you know, all the billionaires in the world, all the people, like there could be some people controlling shit. Whether the extent of their control, how big their extent is questionable. But like there is a possibility that there are people like that.
Well, I can tell you that I don't know if they still exist, Illuminati, but what they were was a group of deists and atheists. You know, not necessarily Christian deists, but just those who think that there might be some higher power. And then there was those who were atheists that was a part of the same group. And what they wanted to do was take out organized religion. And that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason why you get this lie about them being satanic and whatnot from the Christian church or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they were all about tearing down the Christian church, especially, you know, because that was the only thing at the time, you know. Islam came a little bit later, obviously, but they were all about tearing down organized religion, and the Christians was like, hell no, and that's when they trumped up all these, you know, oh, they're demonic and all this stuff, and you know, that's why they do all this, and they have these rituals that are demonic, and you know, they praise Satan and all this stuff. When really most of them were atheists, you know, and some were theists. But
yeah. Like what I'm saying is that like, well, actually, think about it, like to have like some kind of secret organization, but like everybody knows the name of your organization and shit. Like that's a bad organization. It's a bad secret. But I mean, yeah, like I believe there's something like that. I don't know, you know, the extent of their power.
Secret Service and all that stuff.
Yeah, like I think that it's like it's stuff that's hidden within, like, you know, in plain sight. Like, stuff that I don't know, man. That's a whole different. That's another cookie. That's some deep shit you be talking to your brothers while you're like. Man. Oh man, yeah.
Oh yeah, my fucking thing is charging. Cool. Yeah. Well, I am high as shit, and I think I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah, it's all good. All right.
Yeah, and I'm gonna check out Neff's Hangout for a second, see if I can get in for a moment.
Yo, I was gonna do that too, man. I'm gonna go too.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Yeah.